Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's very late afternoon for me, 6 p.m. So I'm not on camera because I'm in my little back room. And if I put my camera on, that's all you'll see. So there's absolutely no point me being on camera at the moment. This room doesn't have a light in it. I'm going to have to get a light. Because I like live streaming in this room. It's nice and quiet, unless the cat bothers me. But the cat's asleep downstairs at the moment, so we may actually get a stream where there's no interruptions. However, my son is due to come in. He's been away for a few days. His girlfriend came back this afternoon, drop his washing off, and to play a game of football with his friends. He's going to come back, and then he's going again. So, yeah, he's due in any time. But I'm in the little back room, so there shouldn't be too much interruption. Okay, so today what I want to do is go through some clips. There's been some new interviews over the last few days with, should we say, key players. Certainly one person who has said a lot, more than anyone else at all, and that is Jodisue Brown. So she's done another couple of interviews with new people that she's, a new audience, people that she's perhaps not charmed before. And I just find it very, very interesting the way that she's behaved, both on Michelle's panel and on General Awareness's panel. If you saw my video yesterday, I played a short clip from that, and I just found the whole interview very interesting, not just with what was said, but what her demeanor was, the fact she was full of makeup. It's just very interesting how she's now trying to charm a new audience. So I'm going to play a few minutes from another clip from General Awareness. But I also want to play a few minutes from BennyKeyz's interview that he had with Andy Bernard, who is Jodisue's ex. And then I want to go into what she's been saying and the gaslighting she's been doing. In my opinion, it's gaslighting, but we're going to get into that as well. And I'm going to prove her wrong on a couple of things. So, whatever you think about Jodisue or Andy, they were there on June 15th, and they do have a perspective that is beyond any of us, because none of us were there on June 15th, 2021. So I listen to them. However, I'm not saying I believe what they say. I think Andy comes off as more likable and more believable than Jodisue, in my opinion. But everybody is still on the list, according to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson. So maybe we might get into some of the things that have been going on there in Hawkins County. Maybe, but it is going to be quite a long stream anyway, because I want to not just play the clips, I want to talk through the clips as well. So before I say a few hellos, I just want to be very, very clear on this live. I know that there's certain creators who don't like each other, and I know that certain creators have a following, and their followings don't like opposing followings, and I'm not interested, absolutely not interested in any of that. I don't care who doesn't like who. I'm interested in the information. So if you don't like General Awareness, I didn't even know who he was until recently, or you don't like Benny, or you don't like Jodisue, keep it to yourself, keep the comments respectful, and I don't want any bashing of creators in the chat, and I will be very happy to time people out if they do. And you get one chance, time you out once, and then I'm just going to block you. So hopefully we won't have any shenanigans. My chat's normally respectful. We get the occasional person in, but normally my chat's very respectful on these lives. So I just want to make sure that we keep it that way. We don't want any creator bashing. Doesn't matter what you think about the creators. That's not what this live is about. There's no drama here. I want to hear the information and I want to comment on that information. And I want to try to make sense of some of that information, and doing it live obviously gets your perspective. So that's why I'm here doing it live, rather than I could have split it up into 2 or 3 videos. But no, I want to just get all this out in one live. So I'm going to be here a while. I've got a big bottle of water. I've got a can of Pepsi Max. So I'm set for the next couple of hours. All right. So with all that said, let's just say a few hellos. Oh, and also slow mode is on. So if you're trying to comment one after another and you can't, it doesn't mean you've been blocked. It just means that you have to wait 20 seconds. Slow mode is on for 20 seconds. It's just to help me with the chat. And also Trixie Star, who's in chat, who is my wonderful mod. It's just to help us out. And I need some more mods as well, because it's not fair that one person does all the work. I do have another mod on this channel, but I haven't seen her for ages. So don't know where she is. Anyway, all right. And it's on subscribers only. So the subscribers only is set to 30 minutes. So you have to have been a subscriber for 30 minutes to chat. Anybody can watch. You don't have to be a subscriber to watch this, but you have to have subscribed for 30 minutes. So if there's any trolls, at least they'll have to subscribe and wait 30 minutes. So anyway, Diane, hello. Abundantly blessed. Good day to you as well. Hi, Terry. Hope they find answers. Well, do you know, it's been, I believe it's now 495 days that Summer's been missing. So correct me if I'm wrong, someone work it out, but I worked it out a few days ago, actually. And I've been kind of keeping account because we're coming up to the 500-day mark. So we're very close. 500 days. I mean, that just, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? So I hope we do find answers somewhere, somehow, about what happened to little Summer Wells. And all we can do is keep talking about her, raising awareness for her. I've got the TBI phone number and the email address to TBI. Trixie Stars put the information in the chat as well. That's all we can do. All we can do. But it's interesting to listen to people who were there, people who do have knowledge, and interestingly, people who are prepared to lie. You know, all of it's interesting. Hi, Catty, Patty, Mary. Who else have we got? Lisa, Joyce, Holly, hello, hello. We've got a lot of kind of chats going on that happened before the live started. Sandra, Crystallized Eye, Speech Lady, Proud Creek Squad. Oh dear, Beach Lady, Domestic Goddess, Angry Hummingbird. You don't know me. F yeah, I love your live streams. I've been live a lot lately. What else we got? The lovely Trixie Stars in. Who else? Okay, we've got quite a few people coming in now, and I'm only just. I went right to the beginning of the chat, so we've got a lot coming in now. Kathy, Bonnie, Grammy, Chapstick. Okay, that's enough. I just, you know, I could do that all day, and it gets dreadfully boring, doesn't it, at the beginning of live streams? All right, so where to start? I'm going to start with the live that Geordie Sue did with general awareness, because I found that very interesting. And it's her recounting of what happened on June 15th. And the question that General Awareness asked her was, did you go into the creek? So that generated a lot of discussion. So this clip is 14 minutes, but I'm going to split it up and talk through it. And all the clips that I'm going to be playing clips from General Awareness, BennyKeyz and Jodisue Brown. I'm using these under fair use for commentary, criticism, education, etc., etc., etc. So this is genuine fair use. I'm talking through, I'm commentating on these clips. So please don't copyright strike me. All right, let's get going on this first clip here. All righty.
Were you in the creek at all that?
Hold on, I need to share my screen. All right, so this is General Awareness saying, were you in the creek that day? So let's listen to what Jodisue says. I'll turn my volume up as high as it can do. All right. So it is a little bit low, but I've turned everything up as high as I can here. All right, let's go.
That day?
Yeah.
You were, what were you doing in the creek?
Looking for Summer.
Okay, so this was after the police were already called, or?
Well, I had, like, technically, yes, right? Because you run in, like, when it first, like, got serious, man, I was like, there's something wrong. You know, there's too many calls for Summer. By the time I'd reached the bottom of the driveway, I kind of go across, look down, kind of casually in that side of the creek, and then, but I don't go into it or anything. I just look over the bank.
Right. So I'm going to stop it right there, just 40 seconds in. Litlock no more. Hello, lurking and listening. Too many morning chores to be in chat, but thank you for dedication to summer. You get on with your morning chores, Litlock no more. I've done all my chores. It's evening for me. Right, so let's go back. Let's refresh our memories to the time that Jodisue gave, and she's shown us a text message. And this also becomes relevant later when BennyKeyz asks Andy how long it took him to get home, you know, and that kind of thing. So the timeline, this general, very clear timeline that Jodisue has put out becomes very relevant. So for those of you who've heard Jodisue speak, you know, the initial 16 videos she did, all about summer and the events of June 15th, which she split across 16 videos, which were mainly her talking about Dobbs, to be honest. But she said that she left the cabin at 6:09. Right, she left the cabin at 6:09. That was when Andy was. Oh, she was walking down the driveway at 6:09. So she texted at the point where she could get signal before she lost it, before she kind of went down the driveway. And that was 6:09. And she does have a text message that clearly states June 15th, 6:09. And she works her timeline off that. But in this clip, I'm confused. I'm confused about what actually happened. And I'm not saying that I'm catching Geordie in a lie here, because it's 16 months ago and memories do fade. But it's that's what I'm saying. I just find it really interesting. Having listened to Jodisue, you know, she made those 16 videos last September. So having listened to Jodisue for a year, and I believed her. I saw her as a witness for a long time. It was the beginning of May before the scales came off my eyes, and I realized that actually I need to be considering Jodisue a suspect, not a witness. She is a witness, but she's a suspect as well. So last September, when she made those 16 videos, how has her story changed? And has her story changed due to just the natural progression of time? And, you know, memory isn't it's not a photograph or a video. It does kind of, some memories soften, your perception changes a little bit. So how much of this, what we're hearing now, is her memories just forgetting a little bit? Or is she starting to tell us something slightly different. And you're right, Kim. Geordie Sue does tell lots of lies, and we're going to catch her in some lies later on. So just bear with this. But let's just get the map up. I didn't plan to do this, but this might be useful actually, to have the map to play the audio rather than just listen, rather than just sitting watching Geordie Sue speak. Have the audio on and the map up at the same time. I think that'll work really well. Let me just get the map up. All right. All right, so 110 Ben Hill Road. So if we get the, I think if you've been following the Summerwells case for that long, that you'll know this map like the back of your hand. You'll know this map like you've lived there for the last 20 years. She does, Debbie. She plays games and draws everything out to keep people hanging on. She does play games. And that's why I said, you know, I think that she's been caught in some lies. And why is she lying? I'm not saying that she's lying here, but later on in the stream, we're going to take this very slowly. And she's lying. And she's also not just lying, she's gaslighting as well and manipulating. And we saw that very clearly on one of her streams this last week. Some of you will have seen it, but I'm not going to distract myself and get talking about that. So we'll get there. So this is 110 Ben Hill Road. This is where Summer lived, obviously. If we zoom in a little bit, then you can see just here, that's the driveway there. It curves up, does a right, and then you can go all the way around the top of the hill. All right. And then these here, these cutouts, these are permanently here. These are the cutouts for the tree service clear for the power lines. So they come every so often and clear branches and overhanging things that are going to interfere with power lines. And that's exactly what they were doing at the time Summer disappeared. But they're kept permanently clear. So you can see here, there's a track down and you can just walk down that hill to the creek area. So this is a creek area. The creek goes all the way around the hill. And that's important as well, to look at where she's actually talking about when she says she gets in the creek and when she gets in the creek. All right, so this whole field here, this is the wells. This is the wells as well. Actually, I'm not sure where the boundary is. I don't know whether it goes down to this hedge line. I think it does. So they've got 11.2 acres. And then this shed here, that's the notorious shed, the bottom shed. But again, that becomes relevant when we think about, well, when did Don get home? When did Andy get home? And the timings of all of that in relation to 609, because Andy tells us things about that. And Andy's been on panels before. He's got his own channel now. And he's talked about when he got home, but he actually gives a time, not a time he got home, but a time, how long it takes him to get home when he was speaking to Benny. And Benny pressed him a little bit, which I thought was useful. All right, you've got another power line cut here, and then you've got another power line cut here. So presumably the power lines come along here, and then it goes up there to go to Blue Roof Don's house. That's Blue Roof Don's house there. He helped search. So when Jodie Sue in a minute talks about her neighbor, seeing her neighbor, that's who she's talking about, Blue Roof Don. Not Don Sherfy. People have got that confused. Not John Sherfy, but Blue Roof Don. I'm not going to say his last name because he wants to be left completely alone. Let's just refer to him as Blue Roof Don because his roof is blue. And then we've got the power lines that go up to the Wells house. And then we've got power lines here that go to Mary's house. Mary lives here. Mary's also relevant to this when we get on to later on in the live. So all of this is relevant. Now, the Wells driveway is here. This is the area where Jodie Sue's cabin is. I'm not sure whether that's it, whether that's the cabin, but that's the area where Jodie Sue comes down. And you can't see the driveway on this, but it comes down around here. So it's not directly across from the Wells, but it's close to the Wells. It comes down here somewhere. So at 609, Jodisue has always told us, you're catching a live, Alyssa, for the second time. Great. All right, so she says that she texts that final text 6:09. This is where her whole timeline comes from. When she's going down the driveway, Andy's on his way home. Andy's been delayed, but he's now on his way home. So she's coming down the driveway. All right, so we're going to keep this map up so that we can refer to it as Jodisue talks about this creek. So I'm going to keep the map up and just play the audio in the background. And I'm going to start it again, actually, because I was only 40 seconds in before I decided to do this way.
Were you in the creek at all that day?
Yeah,
You were. What were you doing in the creek?
looking for someone.
Okay, so this was after the police were already called, or
Well, I had like technically yes, right? Because you run in like when it first like got serious, man, I was like, there's something wrong. You know, there's too many calls for summer. By the time I'd reach the spot on the driveway, I kind of go across, look down, kind of casually in that creek, and then, but I don't go into it or anything. I just look over the bank. And if you've been there, you know the spot I'm talking about.
Right. So she says she checked the creek after the police had already been called. Technically, yes, she checked the creek after the police had already been called. Now, we know that the 911 call was 6:26. That's what Don's told us. He thought it was 5:30. He told Chris McDonough this. He thought it was 5:30. They told him it was 6:26. So it's just shortly, it doesn't matter to the minute, but shortly before 6:30. That's when the 911 call was made. And then I believe it's 6:32 that we get the dispatch call. And that's out there. I've played it multiple times on videos. The dispatch call, you know, putting the call out that there's a missing 4-year-old girl. Yeah, they got her age wrong. 4-year-old girl missing from 110 Ben Hill Road, blah, blah, blah. Right. So that was the alerting of the police. Now, there was 1 or 2 cars that got there pretty quick. They must have got there quick because they'd already arrived before Don and Andy got home. So that's also relevant when we look at Andy's timeline. Marie, hey up, Cocker from Wigan. You're not far from me then. Not far at all. Right, so Jodisue says technically she checked the creek after the police were called. Well, that's 6:26. So if she's coming down her driveway at 6:09, didn't she say, for those, you know, OG viewers of Jodisue, and they know her timeline, that she saw Candice, she spoke to Candice on the driveway. And we've been led to believe that that was straight away. But this doesn't sound like she saw Candice straight away. I don't know whether this is Jodisue's memory fading. I don't know whether I'm being too nitpicky, but I don't know. There's a bit of a discrepancy in my mind, right? So when there's discrepancies, throws up red flags. It might only be a small red flag, but it throws up a red flag for me, right? So she says that she went to check the creek. Now, let's look at where the creeks are. So again, this is the shed. This is the hill. Go down here to the what Don calls the bottom property, but it's part of the 11 acres. And then we've got Beach Creek that comes through Jodisue's property. It's not Jodisue's property, the Bernard property, 125, round the back of Blue Reef Don's property, and then it goes under the road. So when Jodisue talks about a tunnel or a tile, then it's just a little kind of culvert that goes under the road so that the creek can pass under the road. So this is what Jodisue's talking about. She said that she looked left and right. She's going to say that in a minute. She looked left and right. General awareness raid. And we've got general awareness people in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're incoming from general awareness rap centres. Well, welcome. Be nice, respectful. My son's just come in, so we're going to hear the dogs like getting. They'll quieten down in a minute. They'll get silly running up and downstairs. So the creek goes under the road here. So that gives us some understanding. And then it curves round. It literally goes around the bottom of the hill. You can see it from the road. You can see it from the top of the Wells Hill. It goes all the way down and then it goes all the way through. Now there's another creek that joins it. So we've got Limestone Branch, which is another creek. Welcome, welcome, general awareness. You come in peace. That's great. Now, Limestone Branch comes right up from like the mountain. It like goes through loads of properties. And that goes under Simpson Road. Right. And then it loops round. And again, it's like a little moat almost. It's moated on three sides, 110 Ben Hill Road. And then Limestone Branch joins Beach Creek. And I'm doing this to give you a visual to make it clear where Jodisue is talking about. All right, so, okay. So Jodisue, when she says she checks the creek left and right, this must be where she's talking about. All right, so let's carry on.
Like kind of like the Cliff Black Peace, if you pass Candace Nim's Drive and you're across from where the trash can and then all that was.
Right.
I walked over, looked down over the ridge and was like, well, okay, I don't see her there. I don't see her on the side of the hill type of thing. Then I walked down towards Candace Nim's driveway to the right.
Okay, so she must be here.
And
all right, so I
try to holler at the
I think where she's talking about now, and this is where I want to be very specific. I think she's talking about coming out of her driveway and looking here first. Right, because there is a creek here. And if you look at the videos where people have driven Ben Hill Road, there's loads of them now. Scotty Skulls did a really good drive-by and stopped, and go and check out the videos that Scotty Skulls did. There's numerous other people that have done them as well. I think JLR's done them. Chasing Truth did a video while she was out there. But Scotty Skulls, it was like a slow drive, and he actually did a video talking through the whole drive. So I thought that was really useful. But there is, if you're on the road here, then there is a very steep banking around here. So I think at this point, Jodisue has come down her driveway and she's heard. So remember, this is about 6:09. She's coming down her driveway and you can see the buildings here from Jodisue's property. Not her property, the burnout property, but where she lived. She's come, you can't see her driveway on this map, so that's a bit annoying. But she's come down here and she's heard Candace. Welcome to memberships. Welcome to the Secret Agents Club, UK Truth Be Told, CIA. Interesting. Welcome. Okay, so I forgot what I was saying now. I've actually forgotten what I was saying now. I'm trying not to get distracted by a chat. Bonnie, yeah. 673. Oh, that's jumped. 673 watching and only 269 likes. Please hit the like button. If we get to 1,000 in chat, I'm going to give some memberships away. So there's a goal. So share this stream out. If we get to 1,000, I'm going to give some memberships away. All right. So anyway, she's here, 6:09, and she's already heard Candace and the boys shouting for Summer. Right, so she's kind of looking around. But why did she say she's checked the creek after the police were called? Is that just a memory lapse? Am I reading too much into it? Is she getting things confused? Maybe. All right, so let's carry on.
Candace a couple times, couldn't hear me, whatever. To be like, I hear you, I'm down here looking, but she couldn't hear me, and I was like, well, fuck it, it's wasting time. So I just carried on to the right, and if you know the part where you come to the bend in the tunnel that goes under the roadway for the creek, I went over to the right and looked down inside of the tunnel, right, that goes under. And the right side was kind of dry, so there was really no need to look. I didn't see some over there visually, and it was just, there's no need to go further with that. The left side had quite a bit of water in it where it was dammed and kind of stopped up by the brush cutters, wood cutters, that type of thing. So I started to go over and step down in a spot that's kind of notorious. Seen some of the tragedy pimps go back and go, there was needles and drug material over. Yeah, it's because junkies know they can come into the road right there, and kind of it's one of the areas sort of not seen. And they do dope, and then they toss shit out right there. Anyway, so, and I started to go towards the creek in that area. I heard Candace coming down the driveway. It sounded like her and somebody else. Ended up being Dawn on the phone. Come to find it.
All right, so she's here, right? She's checked the right side. So she's checked here. All right, this is my understanding of this. Correct me if I'm wrong. She's come down her driveway. She's heard Candace and the boys shouting for Summer. She's looked down this banking, couldn't see her. She's looked up the hill, can't see her. She shouted up to Candace to say, I'm looking, but Candace couldn't hear her, right? So she walks down round the bend and then to the tunnel, the culvert, which is here, right? So she looks either side and she said, I look right. So to her right would be this way, and that was dry. So she looked left, and that's the place where junkies chuck their drug paraphernalia. Like, I don't know. So then she says she heard Candace coming down the driveway. Well, if she's here, and she says she's always stepped down into the creek, she's here. How she heard Candace coming down the driveway from here? Because that, I mean, it doesn't look far, but it's a big bend. Look at the videos. That's quite a big bend. It's not far. Maybe she could hear Candace coming down the driveway. But the thing that certainly I've always understood is Jodisue was at the bottom of Candace's driveway when she saw Candace driving down. But if she's now saying that she was here checking the creek when she heard Candace coming down the driveway, well, she wasn't there, was she? She was there. Does it matter in the general scheme of things? Probably not. But if you're telling the truth doesn't change. Having said that, after 16 months, memories can fade. You can get things confused. So we've got to give her some leeway, right? I'm going to be trying as fair as I can do. All right. It ain't the butterfly, it's the Tootsie Roll. JSB can hear Summer giggle from the top of her hill, and Candace can't hear JSB yelling. I perhaps can understand, because the way sound travels, if it's got to travel up a hill through like trees, it's harder for sound to travel because sound travels in a straight line than sound coming down a hill. So I can understand that, actually. I can. Anyway, carry on.
Out just seconds later, but what I did was I stepped back up out of that area and kind of like walked towards where she was going to, you know what I mean? And so I made the roadway so she'd see me, and then she stops and our conversation takes place. Really quick interaction. It wasn't very long.
Okay, so Candace has come down and then they've met somewhere. Jodisue stands in the roadway so Candace will see her. So the conversation, what we're now hearing is the conversation between Candace and Jodisue didn't take place at the bottom of the driveway or on the driveway. It was on this road area here, right? So at what time was this? So 6 or 9, she's coming down here, right? She's looked down here. She's walked along here. And as I said, it looks only like a few inches on the map, but this is quite a long road. Right? Remember, Jodisue's ill. She's suffering from cancer. So she's not going to be sprinting, is she? Right? So she's had to have walked all along here, shout up to Candace, and then walk all along here, down here, look down here, step down here, then heard Candace's car coming along the drive here, Candice coming out, so she's had to walk all the way back. So how long is all this taking? So has Candice, by the time all of this has occurred, has Candice already called 911? Because what we hear next, and this is consistent with what Jodisue has told us already, what we hear next is Candice talking to Don. And Don's on speakerphone, and Jodisue hears him say, "What you mean someone's took my baby girl," or something like that. So that's what we hear next. Thank you, General Awareness, for the $9.99. In my opinion, I don't think JSB is guilty, but I just don't know. I don't know either. I don't know either. I think it's right that she's a suspect. I think she has made so many, she's done so many shady things, so many shady behaviors. She's told lies. Is that because she's just an attention seeker and she's taken this as a way to get attention, and this has been very successful for her for a year, and she's going on panels now because maybe, you know, she wants more attention, she wants to kind of revitalize the story? Is she just an attention seeker who's maybe not a very nice person, or does she know more? It's a question. But Sheriff Lawson says everyone is still a suspect. So we've got to assume that everyone on Ben Hill Road, who was on Ben Hill Road on that day, including Don, Candice and Grandma, are all still suspects. No one's been cleared as far as we know, right? And people say they've been cleared, you know, but have they really? Or are they just saying that they've been clear? It's exactly, Crystal. It's not helpful. It's not helpful that even if she's completely innocent, completely and utterly innocent, and she started off talking about Summer genuinely to raise awareness amongst the local community, because she was on Facebook, right? And the night of the 15th, she was on Facebook in the line at Taco Bell. I think that was the 15th or 16th. Talking about Summer. Now, did it start where she was genuinely just raising awareness for people on her Facebook, and it spiraled into this because she's got herself an audience and she's been able to spend the last year berating Andy and calling him all the names under the sun, some of which we now know maybe isn't true? Has it just all played into her delusion? No hot tacos, says Christina. Well, we can't trust anybody, Holly. Holly doesn't trust Ali. We can't trust anybody. They've all lied. They've all lied. So, I don't know. We can't trust anybody. All right, let's carry on. So, Jodisue and Candice, with Don on speakerphone, meet somewhere around here. Right? Not perhaps here, but somewhere around here. Right? And it's somewhere between, it's got to be like 6:20 by now, hasn't it? If she was right here at 6:09, we've definitely got to be 10 to 20 minutes along the line, haven't we? So has Candice already called 911? Because I always assumed that Jodisue, and this might be just my assumption. Hi, Kyle. He's putting his dirty washing in the washing basket, which is in this room. So. All right. There we go. He's gone back in his room now. He's going out soon. So I've always made the assumption, and it might be my assumption that's wrong, that Candice was coming down this driveway shortly after 6:09 because Jodisue's heard the shouting, come down the driveway. So maybe it's 2-3 minutes. And Candice is coming down the driveway. Right? But it must be much later because Jodisue has come down the driveway, 6:09. She's lingered here. Then she's gone down here, looked here, and then gone back when she heard Candice coming down. So has Candice already rung 911? So we know if Candice has already rung 911 by the time we get here, then we're at least 6:26. And then everything starts happening very quickly after that. we don't really have a gap that we thought we had, in my opinion, because there was already a couple of cop cars who were there when Don and Andy arrived. And if we look at Andy's timeline, and if we think about that and assume that's accurate, then we've got very few minutes to spare here. So Candice is coming out. Right, let's carry on. So I'll probably let most of this play through now. I might maybe need to stop it once more. And I might not even need to play the whole 40 minutes. I just put this on. It's just I've just privated it on my channel. I did it just for the purposes of this video. Okay.
I realize it's Dawn on speakerphone. Because I looked around the vehicle in the back of there, and I was like, scanned around my eyes, I was like, who the fuck was she just talking to that loud? There was somebody else in there she was arguing with and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? There was nobody in there. And then Dawn pops up, on the speakerphone and says what he said, which is,
Do you remember what he said?
Yeah, he was like, so you're telling me somebody took my baby girl, But Candace, I remember her face, and I just all the things. But she, I was like, she was like, Summer's missing. I was like, I know, I heard you. I was like, look at her scream earlier. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Right? By that time, the thoughts in my head are, I heard this scream earlier, and it was Summer in here. It's been this, pretty lengthy period. And that means that, she's hurt. She's out here somewhere, and it's been that long, and now she can't be found. She must be really bad hurt here somewhere. Right?
Right. So again, another reminder, the notorious scream that Sheriff Ronnie Lawson says is unfounded. What do we mean by unfounded? Perhaps it means that no one else can verify it apart from Jodisue and her kids. No other neighbours heard it. Maybe that's what we mean by unfounded. But she's always said that this scream occurred between 4:30 and 4:42. And her daughter said it was the boys. The scream was the boys. But Jodisue, now, an hour and a half or almost 2 hours by the time they're meeting here, this scream was 2 hours ago. So if this scream did happen, let's just imagine for a moment this scream did happen, and I'm not sure it did, but maybe something happened at the time. I went through a long period of believing the scream, and something happened. I'm not saying it was Summer, but maybe something happened between 4:30 and 4:42, right? So that was 2 hours ago. Now, Jodisue says that timeline comes from her looking at her text messages and being in the cabin and then going out to look, and then a text either she sent to Andy or Andy sent to her at 4:52, and she estimates it between 10 and 20 minutes previous to that text that she heard the scream. So which would be 2 hours ago. So if the scream really was Summer getting kidnapped, then Summer has now been kidnapped for 2 hours before they've even called 911. However, was that really Summer being kidnapped? Or was it just the boys mucking about? Boys will be boys, with the Wells boys just out there, like whooping it up a bit. And Jodisue's daughter's right. This was just the boys. This was just normal sounds. Jodisue swears down it wasn't normal sounds. But who knows, right? But yeah, so that's the timeline for the scream, if it occurred.
And so that was my thought, is that I, ignored and try to, dismiss everything, right? I tried to find reasons for it sound, never could, and it just, but then here she is looking for Summer, and it's like, oh shit, Summer's been down there somewhere or something.
Do you remember? Yeah, go ahead.
So I told her, I was like, I'm looking, whatever. Dawn says that at a certain point, and then she goes on just a little bit around the curve, runs into another neighbor who's usually outside at that time as well. And they immediately, it's pretty quick interaction. I can see their feet, legs whole time through like kind of little brush line under.
So she said Candice went round the curve and spoke to another neighbour. So this must be Blue Roof Don, because he lives here and he helped search. Right. So if Candice has come round here and then Jodisue can see their legs the whole time, Jodisue must be about here, mustn't she? At this point. All right. And again, you know, there's a bit of walking involved in this. She's not a sprinter. She's not an athlete. She's a cancer survivor. So, and I think she was having treatment at the time, if I remember right. Like she just had treatment, shortly had treatment. So, okay.
It's not very dense at the time. And, you know, they asked me, like, do you want me to take the bank or creek? I was like, well, hell, you got boots on. I got sandals on. I'll take the fucking creek. You know, that's what I was going to do anyway. And so that's what we do. We search together. We keep eye contact and verbal contact the entire time as we're going, you know, through everything. And, you know.
So who know, like...
Okay, so presumably she went in here because this bit was dry. She didn't go this way. She went this way. So she stepped down the banking into the creek and Blue Roof Don took the banking. So they must be walking along this way, right? It passes Beach Creek Road and it curves around, passes the Welsh shed at the bottom property and it goes back round. So they must go this way because later on we hear Don arrive and the boys being here around this area. So they must be going in this direction. So remember, the cops have been called by now. So there must be very soon cops arriving. All right. So this is all making sense. If we lay it out and go very, very slowly, it makes sense. Right. Okay.
Okay. First question I have from this is, do you remember whose phone Don was on? Was he on Candace's? Was it Candace's phone he was talking to you through, or?
It was kind of more thick and black, as I recall. Like, you know, it had a thicker case on it, but I don't exactly fucking know, right? Because they always had different phones going, coming, and you know,
right.
It was just that day and that moment in time. I didn't really catalog. You know what I mean?
All right. I think she was on Grandma's phone, and again, this is just my opinion and my assumption, because only Grandma had AT&T service. And that worked best. The other phone service didn't work well at all. So Candice said, she told Chris McDonough this, Candice said that she threw her phone in the bed of a truck, so that must have been Don's white truck, and took Grandma's phone to call 911. So the phone that she must have had, right, is Grandma's phone. So she must have called 911, seen Jodisue, so we're now like 6:30, 6:40 by the time we're getting around here. But general awareness said, what phone did she have? So Jodisue isn't sure, but it must be, just my assumption, it must be Grandma's phone. But it's interesting that Jodisue said that they had numerous phones. And we know when when Candice spoke to Chris McDonough, which was in July, the middle of July, she said she had a phone still that she'd not turned in. So how many phones were in play and how many phones did law enforcement actually check? We don't know. Right? I've got numerous phones, right? I'm not a criminal. I've not a criminal record, no intention of committing any crimes, but I've got numerous phones. I've got 3 phones with SIM cards in, right? If I put some minutes on them, I could use, right? So it's not unusual that they have other phones. It's how they use them, isn't it? Right? So, you know, there is that. So Angela says Grandma had a burner phone. She had a phone that you put minutes on. We call them pay-as-you-goes here. I don't know what you guys call them in the US. We call them pay-as-you-goes. So you can either have a contract where you get like my phone contract. I pay so much every month and I get unlimited calls, unlimited minutes, unlimited data, right? but you might have a pay-as-you-go or a SIM-only deal. I've had those in the past where you get so many minutes per month and you have to put money on. Like, so, you know, you put a tenner on or a 20 on, and then when it's gone, you have to top it up. Okay, so, you know, if you've got a phone that you don't, with a phone contract in the UK, it might be the same in America, you get the phone as well. And basically your contract is not only paying for the service, it's also paying off the phone at the same time, because you get the phone free at the point of sale, but you pay it off over the length of the contract. Chasing Truth is in chat. Welcome, Chasing Truth. Go into the co-op, says Kyle. Get my stuff that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The fried chicken.
Yeah, the fried chicken. Yeah, not fried chicken. Eye contact. Never heard the eye contact one before. I don't know whether I have or not. That they kept eye contact the whole time. Do you know what? I think I have heard that before. I think I have said that. I've heard her say that before. I don't know whether she said it in the beginning, like the 16 videos that are kind of like everyone's reference points, or maybe you have to go through the thousands of hours of her talking to have got that detail. But I do remember her saying, I couldn't direct you to when or where she said that, but I think I've heard it before. I might be wrong though. That's true as well, Kiko. Candice is relying on what Jodisue told her. Jodisue told Candice she'd been standing at the end of the driveway waiting for Andy since 4:30. Candice is really confused about the time. Like when Candice spoke to Benny months ago now, when Candice was doing her rounds on YouTube, when Don went to jail. And I played the clip saying, look, what is Candice is lying, because she said she saw Jodisue the driveway between 4:30 and 5. So where did Candice get that from? Because she can't possibly have seen Jodisue between 4:30 and 5. She can't possibly have done. Or else that means she was out looking for Summer for 2 hours before she called the cops. So that's either not true or everyone's lying. Everyone's lying. So I'm guessing that's just not true. And she's been told that. And who's she been told that by? Who's the person who's been holding this timeline? Jodisue. She's also told Don stuff as well that turns out isn't true. You know, apparently she told Don about the dog trail, that the scent went down the dog trail. And Don went on the news and said that, and swore down, and had people running the dog trail and filming the dog trail. But he says it comes from his neighbour. He doesn't know. Don wasn't there, allegedly. So everything that we're hearing, this is why it's so important to listen to these details, because not only do they relate to Jodisue's timeline and picking apart the minutes, it's also relevant to everybody else's timeline. It's relevant to Candice's timeline. Don, what Don said about the events, to what Andy said about the events. It's possible that everybody's been fed by Jodisue. So if Jodisue's lying, everybody's been fed lies. But if Jodisue's broadly telling the truth, then at least we have that. This is why I'm going to spend as long as it takes to get through all of this stuff, and I have to stop every 2 minutes. It doesn't matter. Right, I've got all night. I don't like doing really long lives. It's not going to be an 8-hour live. It might be 3 hours, but it's not going to be 8 hours. Don't worry, guys. Right, but this is going to be a longer live. I said that at the beginning, and I think it really is. All right, let's carry on. I'll possibly play this through, but again, I don't know. I might have to stop.
Yeah, I completely understand. So the other question I have is, who notified you to go search? Like, how did you know that you needed to go search for Summer?
Like when I got down to the bottom. I mean, because like
you were sitting in your house, right? and then you heard the scream. So who did somebody come to your house and say, "Hey, Summer's missing. We need you to go search the creek," or how did that happen?
No, I was up in the cabin and I could, like, I was already getting ready. Monster was getting off work, right? And then he decided he was going to be, quote, running late. And, anyway, which is bullshit, right? But he, I was like, well.
Jibe at Andy. Unnecessary jibe at Andy. But let's let that go.
And every, like, especially when, you know, it's kind of at least a decent somewhat day, I'd go out with him, so he would just come back and pick me up, and then we'd go out and get food, groceries, whatever the hell was needed, right? And anyway, so like most days like that, I was just meeting him at the bottom of the driveway, like usual, gonna go out and then come back, right? And then he
and we have seen verification of that. We have seen the text messages between Andy and Geordie Sue that he was going to come from work, running late, but come from work and pick her up at the bottom of the driveway. So we have got that clarification. A comment that flew by a few minutes ago was someone, I can't remember who, but saying that they were suspicious that Geordie Sue didn't mention the scream in the text messages to Andy. Given how hyper alert she is and how vigilant she is, why didn't she mention the scream in the text messages? And I absolutely agree with you. Why, if that was so unusual a sound that made everybody in that cabin, like Geordie Sue and her son and her daughter, stop what they were doing, like chatting it up and that, just having a good old time in the cabin, made them all stop and go to the door and check the banking. If it was that concerning, why didn't she text Andy? Because she'd been texting Andy throughout the entire afternoon. In fact, at I believe it was 2:14. I'd have to pull up the text, and it'll take me 10 minutes to find it. But I do have it. I believe it was 2:14. She actually texted Andy to say that there was a noise outside. So she was in the habit that very day of texting Andy when she heard a noise. But yet she didn't text him between 4:30 and 4:42 to tell him that there was a scream or a noise, an unusual noise. Right? So it's very odd that didn't happen. Very odd. Who else is live? Oh, Justice for All's live. Okay. About Quinton. Oh, little Quinton. Oh, bless him. I'll go and catch up on the little Quinton content later after this. Okay.
Decided he was going to be late, and I was already ready, and I was like, well, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and go on down, mess with my flowers, right? And that was kind of a push, because I knew he was up to shit, right? Banging chick in the BP bathroom type of thing. So I kind of like, if I told him I was already going to be down there, that meant he had to kind of hurry up, right? And do his thing and get the hell there instead of lollygagging. And so I told him I was going to go ahead and be down there, and I didn't want to argue about it, so I just hit that message and type of thing, and, you know, whatever. And that was at 6:09 at the very top of the driveway before I lost all connection to the satellite internet. That was the last part you can get it. And I walked onto the driveway, and, you know, Summer's name's being called out. By the time I reached the bottom, you can tell by the tone and Candace and the boy's voice that it's serious. And so it's an immediate, you know, the noise that I heard, you know, and all these things coming together. So it wasn't that anybody asked or somebody come and told me. I mean, I could hear them yelling for Summer. And then, you know, here's this scream earlier. But either way, even if I hadn't heard a scream or seen a flash or a door, any of that stuff today, I would have still been like, oh shit, this isn't right. Because I had never, ever, ever heard them have to call for Summer or any of the kids that many times. I mean, you just kind of know, right? I mean, right. Usually you call their name 3 times and they're, you know, they know the third time's serious, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So the other time I'd ever heard in that, I mean, it's just like maybe 10 calls for her before she decided to come unhide from on top of the hill. Because she was mad at the time and whatnot. So, you know, but nothing like was going on there, and you could tell as things increased. And then there was this one point as I'm below the bank, and Candace screams at the boys, you know, as they kind of gather up top near her, and they all come back around and sort of meet each other in the same spot. And she's like, you know, and she.
I don't know how Jodisue could have known that. I think that's embellishment. Because if she's saying that by the time she got down, so 609, top of the driveway, you heard her say it. She comes down the driveway. So it's a very steep driveway, very steep, steeper than the Wells driveway. So she comes down that. Then she's checking this banking, right? So she's looking in this creek. She checks this banking. She looks up the hill. Now, if she's here, even if she's at the driveway by this point, can she really see? Because you can't, because if we go onto this view, it goes round a corner. So if they're all collecting at the top of here, bear in mind this is the middle of June, so the foliage is dense. Can she really see them all, like, collecting? Or is that just embellishment? Does it matter, really, that she embellishes? I saw the chat comment before in chat saying, do innocent people lie? Sometimes they do, don't they, if they have their own agenda. So I'm trying to be as fair as I can be here, right? That if she's just attention seeking and trying to keep this story going about how important she was, then she's going to embellish, she's going to change details, and she has. That's what we've seen. So has she done that just to carry on the story and carry on her importance, and she's completely innocent? It's a rotten thing to do in a missing little girl's case, who's been missing 495 days at this point, right? It's a horrible thing to do just for attention. Or does she know a lot more? Does she have something to do with it? Is she hiding something? And that's why we've got all these embellishments and story changes and adaptations. Don't know. We don't know. Okay.
Stuff with them, and you know, what did you do? What did you do? Nothing, mama. Nothing, mama. I swear.
Don't like that. I don't like that she released that, because she said that before, and she said it word for word. Candice saying, what did you do? What did you do? And the eldest boy saying, nothing, mama, I swear. I don't like that she released that, because those were little boys. At the time Summer disappeared, 12, 11 and 9. The eldest boy was only 12. She hates it when anybody talks about her children. Like in this very video, when General Awareness asked her son's name, and she said, I don't want to mention the name, and he apologised. That's a grown man, right? Her son is the same age as my youngest son, the son who put his washing in the washing basket just before, 20 years old. My son's just turned 20. So I think her son is about maybe, I don't know, 3-4 months older than my son, my youngest son, who still lives here with me. But he's out, he lives his own life, right? Goes to uni, has a girlfriend, spends most of his time at his girlfriend's. I don't know why they don't charge him rent, right? Comes back, gets his washing done. And he lives his own life, right? If something really bad happened in my area and everybody was talking about it on the internet, right, my son would stand up for himself, right? He wouldn't be hiding behind me, and I wouldn't be shielding him, right, at the age of 20. Now, when Summer disappeared, Geordie Sue's eldest was 19, still an adult man. Right? He's joined the military. He's in the military now. He's a grown-up. So when she's saying she doesn't want his name mentioned, it's nonsense. He's a grown-up. I understand it about the girl. She's only, I think, 14. I understand it about her because she's a minor. But yet she can talk about the Wells boys, and she has done. And it has generated people blaming the Wells boys. Now, whether they had something to do with it or not, I don't believe they did. I do not believe they did. But if they did, that's for law enforcement. It's not for us to discuss on the internet. I don't believe they did. And I don't like it. I've never liked that she's released that. I don't know why she did that. Given how careful she is about protecting her own children, why not give other people's children the grace? She just hasn't, and I do not like that. I really don't. Anyway.
Is what I heard. And it just really kicked it into overdrive. It was, you know, oh shit, something is very wrong, you know.
So you seen the boys that day when they were calling out for summer. Did they have walkie-talkies on them? Do you remember that? Or
no, her son is not a minor, Wist. Her son is 20 as of now, 19 when Summer disappeared. So no, he's not a minor. Like, she calls them the littles or the tiny humans. He's 20 years old. Right, my son, if I called him a little or a tiny human, he'd laugh. Right, let's face it, he's a good-natured bloke, and he'd laugh. But he wouldn't want me talking about him like that on the internet. He really wouldn't. He'd like, you stop doing that. Or else, like, he does things like he'll threaten to delete my YouTube channel, or he'll threaten stuff like jokingly. Right? He has deleted the odd video actually off my old channel before I did true crime. Yeah, he did. He deleted one of my videos. He didn't like it. He deleted it. Changed all my passwords now, but. But this is the thing. He's 20 years old now. He's in the military now. He joined up the military a few weeks ago. The young girl, the 14-year-old, the teenage girl, yes, absolutely. She is a minor. Leave her alone, right? But Jodisue, like that girl mods for her, I believe, and he's there all the time when she's telling all these stories and turned like about Andy, like her dad. The girls, she's listening to all of that. What is that doing to her in the long term? It's dreadful in the long term. However, we're not here to talk about that. I'm going to try and play this through. We've only got a few minutes left now.
They didn't have walkie-talkies. Okay.
But I didn't see them while they were calling out somewhere on top of the hill. I could just tell where they were by sound. This what I did.
You didn't see any walkie-talkies like in their hands or anything?
Well, I met the boys around when I and other neighbors stuff, and we, you know, reached, because by that point, I'd already seen Dawn and Andy and all that, and the first cop cars come in. At the same time, I kind of reached the boys, right?
Okay, so she's seen Don and Andy by the time she reached the boys. So the boys were at the top of the hill when Jodisue passed by and shouted up to Candice, and Candice couldn't hear her. And then she went here, looked in the creek, went back, spoke to Candice. And then she went back here, and her and Blue Roof Don checked this area. She went in the creek, Blue Roof Don checked the banking, and they walked along. And by the point that they got here, Don and Andy had already come in. Okay. You still kiss him at 30? Oh, I don't think my son will let me kiss him. So the boys went down, so down there, cutting here, or there's little trails and paths and things coming down here. It's probably, at this point, I think it's very shallow. Like the hill, it's a big cliff kind of coming around here, and it's steep along here, but this side it's really quite shallow. Cracking Cases have got a good video going down a trail down here, and it gets to about here and it takes you to the creek, and you can see the shed. So the boys had been sent down to check this area to see if Summer had gone this way. So by the time her and Blue Roof Don had got round here, she could see the boys in this area, and Don and Andy had already arrived. So we don't know exactly what time that was, but we can estimate it, I think, based on what Andy has said. So We'll get there in a few minutes because we're going to do that clip next. So she's coming around here. Blue Reef Don and her check in here, and the cop cars are starting to arrive. Now, Don tells us that he got there first, and then he changed it and said maybe there was one car, because the cop cars would have gone up Ben Hill Road. When Don arrived, he drove straight past and went to this area first, saw his boys, and knew instantly somewhere had gone. Now, whether you choose to believe that or not, I don't know, but that's what Don said he did. Drove, instead of driving down Ben Hill, he knew people were checking the hill. He said he went round the corner and then pulled in here. There's a good video that's on Voices Behind the Walls channel of Don retracing his steps. And he drove from here, because he came from Jonesborough, which is about 30 minutes in this direction at south, comes along Beach Street Road, goes round the bend here, and then pulls up here, and then saw his boys by the creek. So Geordie Sue's telling us that she comes round here. By this point, she sees the boys. Don and Andy had already arrived. The cops were starting to show up. So we're getting close to, I'm going to estimate it at about 6:45 when Don and Andy arrived. And I'll give you my rationale as to why I think that when we get there.
So was Don and Andy there before the cops came?
No, the first two were coming in as Andy was kind of coming in, right? And you hear them hauling ass in. I knew it was them coming, so the neighbors were in. If you're in there, you know there's signs that they're coming for a long time prior. But Andy comes in and he talks to Candace, because Candace is waiting at the end of Ben Hill, right? And she tells him, and I could hear some portions of the conversation, so I know he kind of knows. But then I make sure to kind of make my way towards the guardrail at the main part of the road, right? Beach Creek Road itself.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, so Andy is coming this way, speaks to Candace, and he did confirm that he thought he saw Candace first, and Candace told him someone was missing. So Candace is waiting at the end of Ben Hill, so presumably this is here. Andy comes in. Geordie Sue, who's going in this direction, sees the boys, must be coming back in this direction now, because she said she went past the guardrail, so the guardrail's along here, so she must be going in this direction now towards Andy, because she could hear them speaking. Okay, can you but maybe you can, I don't know. I mean, it's not far really, but I don't know. All right, that's what she said.
I kind of, do a little wave, and he stops, and he's in my soul. And then I was like, Summer's busy. He's like, I know. I was like, well, let's sing you over, Candace, but I just want to make sure, and here's where I'm at type of thing. He goes on, he drives up down the road looking for Summer. Dawn comes in almost the same time. Cops come in, all that shit. Dawn's in the Subaru. And then, Dawn sees us, myself and the boys and all that down there in field. You hear him talk about, I think, in Enton's interview, maybe. But I had.
All right. So, as I said, Don doesn't go down Ben Hill. So Andy's gone down Ben Hill. Now, Andy tells us that he goes and parks his car. He's in the Kia Soul. He goes and parks his car and comes and helps search. That's what Andy tells us. So Jodisue seen or heard Andy talking to Candace about here. Then she sees Don. So Don comes along here and stops and sees the boys. So Jodisue must be coming back along here. So Jodisue hasn't searched very much. Like, she really hasn't. All she's done is she's looked at the bank in here. She's looked up the hill here. Well, they know someone's not there, because they'd have found her, wouldn't they? She's walked along here. She's got in the creek here, and then she's walked along here and seen the boys and Don. So that's all she searched. That's her sum total of Jodisue's search. Now, she's a cancer survivor. I don't expect her to go hiking all the way up the mountain, but the big tale she tells us, the big story she tells us, right, wasn't true. Well, she helps her, right? She helps her, but she did this little bit here. She did this little bit of road and this little bit here. Right, let's be clear. that Jodisue's really bigged up her part in this. Has she done that for attention? Yes, I think so.
Met the boys down there, and they were closest to another property in a fence line. And a cop was sitting right back there and had visuals on us, right?
Mhm.
And a boy where they'd seen summer last and how long it had been. And then they get up and they kind of, because when I come up on them, they were kind of squatted down looking in kind of one of the more shallow, like a little creek thing there, sort of. But it was, they were just, I don't know. But they stand up when they see me, and then they're like, when we talk, it was very strange. And they tell me the last place, they see summer.
I don't like the way she says it's very strange. I don't like this. I might just be reading into the fact that she's trying to implicate the boys, and she might not mean that at all. But I don't like it. I don't like her talking about the kids. She said she could just say she saw them, right? She saw them. That's it. I don't like her saying that the interaction was strange. I don't like her saying what allegedly the eldest boy said and what Candy said to them. I don't like that. I really don't like that.
And how long it had been. And then they take off through the middle, like between the hill and the creek, and to go back towards, the house with Candace and all. And I think that was maybe my last interaction with the boys that day. I may have seen the oldest again at some point with Dawn coming and going, but I don't, that may have been the next day. Because it was mostly I seen through the night that night. And
okay, we can leave that there because she just goes on to talk about the next day. All right, we can go on to the next clip now. Okay, so that clip was general awareness. So go and check out his channel. And the next clip I'm going to play is from BennyKeyz's channel. This was a couple of days ago, I believe. I think it was on members only for about a while, and now it's out there. So I listened to this yesterday, I think. I think it was yesterday that I listened to this. So I'm going to play about. I'm going to play about. It's nearly 9 minutes, but I'm probably not going to play all of this clip. But this is BennyKeyz and Tiffany Marie talking to the real Andy B. So Andy Bernard, who's Jodisue's ex. Okay, and I've got the links to this from BennyKeyz. I've got the links to the general awareness stream that I've just played. I've also got a link to the Jodisue Brown clips that I'm going to be playing next. All right, so this is about Andy's version of events. Andy's much less clear about what happened, but that makes sense because Andy was at work all day. So let's recap. Andy and Jodisue exchanged a text message 6:09 when Jodisue was leaving the cabin, coming down the driveway. So get 6:09, Andy's setting off from work. So we've got to keep that in, and Andy will tell us what happened after that. Fernie, I'm starting to believe that Andy was a victim of JSB. I'm glad he got away. Thank you, Cecile, for the 1999. Thank you for all your sleuthing in this case. Yeah, it's been a difficult one. It really has. I mean, the thing is that this case went really quiet for a while. Nothing new was coming out. The fact that we've got these new interviews is good because it gives us something more to analyze than going over the same things again and again and again. And even though much of this content is the same, like this story is the same, we've got to look at the details because, as I said before, I believe my belief, my opinion, that it's Geordie Sue's timeline that Candice has used, that Donna's used, and the things that Donna's said to the news and been heavily criticised for actually came from Geordie Sue. And I'm not sticking up for Don or Candice here. I'm not. I'm just saying I think that is factually what has happened. They're still suspects. They still could be very, very guilty and be wholly responsible. And Geordie Sue is just on the sidelines being an attention seeker. But at this point in time, we don't know. And the very fact that Geordie Sue's coming out to a new group of people and charming a new group of people, I think it's very important to consider what she's saying to them. And Sonia has been a member for 7 months. Thank you so much for your continued support. All right, so we're going to play this clip now. So this is from BennyKeyz.
And can you try to explain to me what the moment felt like when you found out Summer was missing, when you pulled in? What was that feeling like? Was it, I mean, because let me tell you what, I mean, if it's something regular, and it's probably not anything you're going to get super duper fired up about, you're like, oh, okay, kids are wandering, and you're not really worried about that dynamic where you guys live at. I mean, your kids ran around and did what they wanted to do, right?
Yeah, my kids ran around, did what they wanted to do. I mean, when I was growing up, I ran around, did what I wanted to do. You know, my cousins did. I mean, that place is just one of those places that a lot of people don't like to come. So I don't, you know, you don't expect something like that to just happen.
So would it be safe to say that when you pulled in and were given the news that that maybe, I mean, tell me, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Like, were you like, oh my God, I gotta, or were you just like, you know, it's happened before, or, you know, she'll come back, or they'll find her? I mean, what was your feeling?
Pretty much one of, oh shit, what the hell is going on? And, you know, it don't never, I can honestly admit it didn't really hit me until a certain point that maybe she didn't wander off into the woods or was hiding somewhere playing, or somebody had made her mad and she went to hide from somebody. You know how kids do.
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah, it's true, right? I lived in the country. It's not quite as rural as where they live. But, you know, when I was a kid, I was out and about in the fields. I used to run about barefoot like Summer did. And my feet were as hard as nails. I could run on stones. I could run, you know, could run through the hills with bare feet. I still like going barefooted now. And it was a great old time. And I used to hide from my mother when I was mad. Thank you, Saram or Sarame, for the $8.99 in my currency as well. Thank you so much. Northwest is best. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Yeah, I remember I was older than Summer. Maybe I was about, I don't know, maybe about 12. And I ran away. I told her I was running away. I told her I was leaving home. And I ran off into the woods. And after a little while, I was 13 because we got a dog. We just got Ginty then. So I would have been 13. So I was quite a bit older than Summer. But I remember her coming out to look for me through the woods. And she was walking down these paths. And I knew all the hidden places. And there was no way in the world that she was going to find me. So she was wandering around, shouting me, and she was getting more and more panicked. And then she went, and then it started raining, so I went home. She'd not called the cops though, which was probably a good thing, because it would have been pretty embarrassing, because I was just hiding there, watching her walking about in the woods. It's horrible, that, isn't it? But yeah, Mississippi Girl, member for 10 months. You always have excellent content. Thank you. Thank you for your continued support. All right. So I can identify absolutely with how these kids lived. I really can. So it's kind of nice to hear from these locals. It's nice to hear from Andy, who is much more sensible and down to earth than Jodisue, hearing about the experiences. That's why I just included this kind of little bit as a preamble. The important bit is more towards the end of this clip.
Just go find them a tight spot and hide in it for a minute and pout, and then they'll come out when they're not mad, or you'll have to go find them or something. But you know, at that point in time that nobody was being found, you know, that's when it sets in that, oh shit, where the hell did she go? What has happened? What's, you know?
Did you ever feel manipulated by anyone else's feelings about the situation? Like,
I know what Benny's getting at here. He's saying, did you feel manipulated by Jodisue? But he doesn't say it. I'll say it for him. That's what I think he's getting at.
you know, people trying to tell you things, or maybe trying to help you remember things a certain way. Like, did you ever feel pressured or manipulated by the way someone else and any of the people around there felt about the situation?
That's very true, Rin E. I appreciate the fact that when Andy has been interviewed, he's asked questions and he could easily make JSB look bad, but he doesn't. He doesn't. It is huge. It's huge to me as well. Like, obviously, he's had the almost like a gag order, like a protection order against him. And I think that's gone now. I don't know what happened with that, but he is very careful about what he says. But I think it's way beyond that. I think he is genuinely respectful. I mean, one day his kids, right, hopefully are going to want to have a relationship with him. Now, I know his son does, I believe. Now, the son is 20 years old. He's a man. He can choose who he has conversations with, relationships with. Right, but the girl, the little girl at 14 who's been kept away from her dad, if he was doing the same as Jodisue has done, and it just be a cat fight between them, and Andy was, you know, using his channel to rip into Jodisue, that girl is going to see those, you know, videos, that content. So I think it's huge that he is respectful and he is an adult about it. It says a lot to me because she's rubbished him in so many ways. And, you know, the relationship was a toxic one. He's admitted that he hit her, and that's wrong. Nobody should be hitting anybody, right? He's admitted that. He's admitted he made mistakes. He's admitted he's got mad. But the stuff Jodisue has done is as bad. It's emotional manipulation that has carried on long after the relationship ended. Long after the relationship ended. And that is wrong, right? You know, she was she was slighted. Andy's having a relationship with someone else. She believed he was having an affair. Whether he was, he wasn't, is irrelevant at this point, right? And she cannot accept it. And I think all this stuff about him being a monster, all of this stuff about all the things he did, I think it's all embellished, in my opinion. I think there was violence, but I think the domestic dispute and the way that they tried to control each other, I don't think is one-sided by any means. And I think Jodisue's manipulation and gaslighting is worse than what Andy did. And I think Andy has lived for a long time under those circumstances. And we've even seen it in text that she's released, that she herself has released, not what Andy's released, what she's released. If you look at the actual meanings behind the words, she is rubbishing him. And he is just writing back, love you, or, you know, something that's just not rising to it. So he's done things that are wrong that he admits, but Jodisue is still continuing to do this. And the fact that he can't have a relationship with his daughter is awful. So I'm really glad that he is respectful. And and just coming on and saying what he knows. And if he doesn't know, he doesn't know. And it's as simple as that. Thank you, Litlock No More, for the $10. I hope your house duties have gone well. I admire and respect your work tremendously. I watch your channel as well, Litlocked, so it is mutual. You'll see him trying to avoid all the crazy stuff she says in the text message. Absolutely chasing truth. Absolutely. He doesn't respond to that. He'll respond to the message, but he doesn't rise to it. And that must have taken the patience of a saint. Because I'm sure if there are text messages out there that Jodisue still has of him laying into her, like saying, I'm going to beat 7 bells of shit out of you when I get home, she'd have released those. Right? She'd have released those. So they don't exist, do they? So, you know, I just think Andy is a whole lot more believable. He's still a suspect. Everybody's still a suspect. He's not been cleared as far as law enforcement have said. But at the same time, it is just looking at what we see, just making an opinion and an assessment on what we see. Andy's the victim by what we see, just by what we see. And Jodisue is the aggressor.
Did you feel like, I guess I'm going to be reiterating myself, but did you feel pressured by other people's opinion of what was going on there?
You know, maybe early on it seemed like certain things were, you know, said for a reason or something, maybe. Or, you know, I wasn't there, so I don't know what happened. So I go a lot on what I was told. So, you know, if somebody told me something and then another person told me the same thing, and then maybe another person told me the same thing, then, okay, I might believe everything. But, you know,
if it seemed to make sense, right?
Yeah, if it seemed logical.
Seemed logical. So
Andy's saying that he would, you know, if a few people told him the same thing and it seemed logical, then he's going to believe it. Right? It's quite a simple soul. He's going to believe it. He wasn't there. So, 6 cents, Amelia. Andy A, a victim. I'm out. This is effed up. Look, I said, Andy has admitted to hitting Jodisue, to being angry, to doing stuff that he's not proud of. And somebody else says it's guilty shame. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But I think the violence, the relationship was toxic on both sides. I think what we're seeing is what is known in psychology as common couple violence. It's changed its name to situational couple violence. I don't like that. It's not always situational. But what it means is that both parties in the relationship act as the aggressor. And that can be physical, it can be emotional, psychological, or a combination thereof, right? Or one or all of them. Andy's admitted to what he's done. Jodisue, the things that we see Jodisue do even now, constitutes relationship violence. It's emotional manipulation. And that's just how I see it. Now, is Andy just very good at covering his tracks and very good at looking like a likable guy? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Maybe Andy was the monster that Jodisue's portrayed him as. But let's consider the possibility that he wasn't, that he's done things that he's not proud of, that he's shameful of, that he feels guilty about. But it was embellished. Let's just consider that. We don't know, but let's just consider that as a possibility. Because a lot of the stuff that Jodisue has said is proving now to be either not true or embellished. So I've just got to see it as I see it. Dark Knight Fugitive Recovery. $4.99. Can you please be respectful? I thank you for the $4.99. But some of Welsh troll accounts and trolls channels, we're not talking about people having troll accounts. We're talking about the content. We're talking about the content of this clip and the usefulness of this interview with Andy Bernard. I know Benny's done some stupid things, right? But we're not talking about that. The fact that this is on BennyKeyz channel, I said right at the beginning that I just want everybody to be respectful. I know that there are creators who hate each other and followers of those creators who don't get on. But I just want to listen to the content. It doesn't matter whose channel it's on. For the purposes of today, let's listen to the content. You can go and take your dislike of this creator or that creator somewhere else. Just keep it, just listen to the content for now. It's important to listen to a range of creators, even if you don't like them, if they've got an important interview on their channel. Look, I don't subscribe to BennyKeyz. Oh, it's on my channel. I don't subscribe to BennyKeyz, but I listen to this interview because it's important. It's important to listen to Andy's side. So whenever Andy's been on a channel, I don't care whose channel it's on. Right? I want to listen to the content. So with all that said, Jeremy, Benny has done good things also. Absolutely. But it's not about that. It's not about, excuse me. Oh, got a tickle in my throat. It's not about the good things and the bad things about the creator. It's about the content. Darkness, fugitive recovery. This is why you're so respected. I just don't play into the drama. There are creators I don't like. I don't speak about it. It's my personal opinion. There's creators that I absolutely love and watch every single video they do. But I don't shout the praises the whole time because that's not what I'm doing. I'm talking about content. Whether it's factual, whether it's an opinion, whether it's my opinion and my theory, that's what I'm talking about on my channel. So that's what I'm doing here. All right.
When you get back in there, sort of understanding now that there's the real possibility, a very, very real possibility, that there was things going on around the hill, but meanwhile you were on your way to the house with no knowledge. So I guess what my question, the underlying question or the piggyback question is were there any phone calls between you and anybody on the hill on your way home?
No, I didn't know about Summer being gone until I rolled in and got informed. Okay. Yeah, they won't.
Did that ever strike you as strange? I mean, so you were alerted. You were alerted earlier in the day about a loud noise around the 2:30-ish hour, I believe. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe it was 2:14. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I do have that text, as I said before, but I'm not going to try and hunt for it. I should have got it on my desktop and then I could have just put it on. But I believe it was 2:14. It was something past 2 anyway. So 2:30 is not too far off. And Geordie Sue texted Andy and said she heard a noise. She didn't text him to say, I heard a scream or I heard a strange noise between 4:30 and 4:42. The last we see is that communication at 6:09, as she herself said just before at the top of the driveway before she came down. So there was no communication between her and Andy that Summer was missing. But I suppose Jodisue would counter any question about that, you know, why didn't you ring Andy and tell him someone was missing? Maybe because she was busy, maybe because she was searching, maybe because she was, you know, concerned. I think that's probably what I would. I don't think I would make a phone call under those circumstances. I don't know, but interesting. So we've got to the point now where Andy doesn't know that Summer is missing until he arrives home. So Jodisue says that it was Candice at the end of Ben Hill Road that told him Summer was missing while she was searching the creek.
So you were alerted to a loud noise, but then not alerted to a scream, and then also not alerted to the idea that the child was missing. People on the hill knew, but nobody told you. Does that seem about right?
Yeah, seems about right.
So let me.
Andy, can I ask you real quick one question about that, what Benny just said?
Yeah.
Who told you that Summer was missing? Do you remember? Do you remember who approached you first to let you know? Do you remember driving in there that day?
To a certain extent, I remember it, but
Mhm.
to a certain extent, I'm not too sure exactly who I spoke to. I swear I think I spoke to Candace first, or because when I can't remember how it goes down. I mean, it's one of those.
Okay.
So I'll get the map back up. So what Jodisue said was that she's searching this creek area. A mummy of hamsters, member for 4 months. Thanks for wading through the BS for us. Well, you know, this preparation for this stream has taken a long time. I've got to tell you. Right, Jodisue's here. I'll put the other screen on so it's easier to see. Jodisue's here searching this area of the creek, right? She's seen the boys. Don's come in, Andy's coming in. And she said that they met Andy coming in from this direction because he works in Kingsport. So he'd be coming in this direction, turns in, sees Candice, and he's confirmed that he believes he saw Candice first. So he's confirmed that, but he's not sure. Andy's memory is probably worse than mine. And is he feigning bad memory? He could be, but he might just have a bad memory, right? So we don't know on that.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I don't know.
Take your time.
Well, you know.
So how long is the general route from where you were working at?
This is the important bit. I said the important bits towards the end. I wanted to kind of just give us some context of the conversation. So this is important. How long is the general route from where Andy works? And I'm not going to say where he worked at the time. I don't believe he works there now, but it was in the Kingsport area. Oh, Robert, you've been timed out for 300 seconds, Robert. Oh, naughty Robert. Thank you, Trixie Star. Robert, you can come back in 300 seconds, however many minutes that is. I've not worked it out. What's that, 5 minutes, is it? 60 times 5, 300. Yeah. So you can come back in 5 minutes, but if you're naughty again, then Trixie Star has my permission to block you. I don't know whether mods have permission to block, but but if Trixie Star doesn't have permission to block, then I will block you. Robert, you get one chance and that's it. Just please be respectful. That's all I ask. That's all I ask, right? Okay. All right. So Andy works in Kingsport. Kingsport's about 25 minutes away from Ben Hill Road, thereabouts, roughly speaking. Let's just do it quickly. Right. Kingsport. Yeah. All right. This is just giving me general Kingsport. 23 minutes. All right. Okay. not doxing myself, giving my address, am I here? I'm not. It's okay. I don't want directions now. How do I get rid of that? Close. There we go. All right. Okay. Back to where we were. So, Andy's route from Kingsport.
At that time to the house, how long was that route? Typically, if you can remember.
From where I worked to my house, it was probably, I don't know, 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how you drove, traffic, stop, you know, whatever. I mean, it's you know, it's one of those situations of, depending on what you're driving and how fast you've got to get somewhere, is how fast you can get there. So, I mean, it's one of those situations where if I had to make it there in 15 minutes, I could probably make it there in 18. But if I had to make it there and I didn't have to rush, it would be 30 minutes with time. It's somewhere in between about 25 and 30 minutes.
And that's about right, I think. A general Kingsport's 23 minutes from where Andy works, maybe 25, 30 minutes, right? So I think what we're getting an assessment of is 30 minutes at the longest, right? Now, bear in mind that he's texted that on or around 6:09 to say that he's on his way. Now, he could have texted whilst he was still in his job, and then he's had to walk out of his job, get to his car, you know, come out of his work, and then get on the road. So we could add another 5 minutes onto that, couldn't we? Right? Maybe. Right? You know, where I used to work, it used to take me 5 minutes to get out of my building from where I used to work. You know, so it didn't matter whether I took the stairs or the lift, or it didn't matter. It took me 5 minutes to get out of the building. And if I had a car, I used to use the train, but if I had a car, you know, it'd take me 5 minutes to get out of my office area, down the flights of stairs, out through the general kind of foyer area, which was huge, into the car park, right? So easily 5 minutes. So let's give Andy 5 minutes to get out and get in his car. But according to Andy, it says somewhere else in this interview, she used to time him. She used to time him. And if he wasn't there, you know, exactly when she thought he should be at home, she'd give him hell, you know, for it. So, but we've never heard, as far as I know, we've never heard from Jodisue what time Andy got in. She said, and Don confirmed this as well, that Andy and Don got into the Ben Hill Road area about the same time. They came in kind of almost after each other. And that, as we'll see, probably is true. Right? But we've never had a time. We've never had a time from Don. We don't get a time from Andy. We're going to have to work it out. But it seems about right that there's multiple people saying roughly the same things. And I think that is very important. I think that is so important to nail down this timeline. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, Fred told the PI.
All right. So he goes on to just say a little bit about Fred, and I want to cover that because that's important as well. So if Andy set off at 6:09, let's give him 5 minutes to get out of his building into his car. So let's call that 6:15. If that took him, let's say 30 minutes, because he's not in a rush, because he doesn't know Summer's missing. He doesn't know anything's wrong. So he could have just taken a nice leisurely drive home. And I do believe in one of Jodisue's streams at some point. No, actually, it's in the text messages that I think he said he was going to stop for a drink, to get a drink or something. So presumably he was stopping at a gas station, which is going to add another few minutes on. So let's say it takes him 30 minutes. So he's going to get in to Ben Hill Road about 6:45. right? Another 5 minutes if he was in a queue at the gas station, 10 to 7. So let's call it 10 to 7, right? 6:09 sets off. Let's give him some grace to get to his car. 30 minutes journey, but he stops at a gas station to get a drink. Let's say 5 minutes. So let's say 10 to 7, which sounds about right, doesn't it? Because the cops, the dispatch call went out at 6:32, 6:30 roughly, right? That's a dispatch call. We know a couple of cars got there quite quickly, so they must have been in the area, right? And then it was just after 7 that Don tells us that loads of cars started to turn up. And we've heard lots of things. You can listen to the dispatch and hear, you know, them requesting, you know, teams and blah, 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 right? That is out there. So Andy gets in between 2:15 and 10 to 7. Don follows shortly thereafter. So let's just talk about Don for a minute. Right, let's talk about Don for a minute. Because Don was working at the Meadows in Jonesboro. All right, so the Meadows subdivision. Can you see how often I search these things? All right, so Don's working here. The Meadows subdivision in Jonesboro. So it's to the south of Beach Creek. All right, so Don tells us that he got a call from Candice to say Summer was missing. And he started to throw his tools into the Subaru because he was driving a brand new Subaru to a drywalling job, which is very strange. But anyway, so he's in the Subaru, he throws his tools in, he sets off. And I believe he said that it was when he got on the road that he called 911. And he had to be transferred because this is, I believe this is Washington County down here. He had to be transferred to Hawkins County. Now, we haven't heard the 911 calls, so we're only going off what we've heard from Don and Candice. We've heard that Don rang. We've also heard that Candice rang. Right, so there should be 2 911 calls, but they've not been released. People have put in freedom of information requests in for that, but they've not, they're part of the investigation. So we don't know, right? We can only go off the dispatch, and that is just about 6:30, just after, right? So if Don is on the road, so let's say he's just set off at 6:26 when he said he called, he's told various stories. He said that he got there in 25 minutes and he flew like the wind and he beat everybody. Now, it says 35 minutes on the map. Now, if he knew something was wrong, he knew something was wrong. So he put his foot down. And Don, have you seen Don driving? Yeah, dear me. You know, it's like quite hairy. So let's say he sets off and he's on the road. So let's say he's just set off and he calls 911 at 6:26, right? I'm going to say 6:25 for easy reckoning. So let's say it takes him 25 minutes. Like, let's say Don was right and it takes him 25 minutes. So that's what? 10 to 7. Likely, maybe it was a few minutes longer. Maybe he did it in 25 minutes. But that's the same time that Andy got in, right? If we're saying Andy, give him a bit of grace to get to his car, blah, 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 gets in between 2:15 and 10 to 7, and Don's coming in. Now, I think Andy got there first. Don's coming in about the same time. Makes sense. We've got an answer that they got in around 10 to 7. So I'm happy with that. It's obviously what they've said, quick assessment, right? But I'm happy with that. So a couple of cars there already, talking to Candice. And then just after 7, like the troops started to pile in. It makes sense. And I'm glad that we've got some consistency. We've got some consistency across what different people have said. And I like that. I do like that. All right. I absolutely agree with you, Terry, that Candice did not know how long Summer was missing. I really, really believe she didn't know. You know, if she genuinely has nothing to do with it other than not having her eyes on a 5-year-old daughter, and that's all she did wrong, she had no idea how long Summer had been missing. I've made multiple videos about that Summer could have been missing 2 hours, 2.5 hours even, before Candice realised. But Speed Racer Don, Sherry, yeah, watch the video from Voices Behind the Walls channel where he retraces his steps. And he drives like a nook. He drives like I used to drive when I had a car. Oh dear. Oh dear. Anyway, right. Okay, back to 110 Ben Hill Road. Oh, I've lost it. There we go. All right, I'm just going to play this last couple of minutes because it's about Fred. Now, Fred Hill lives here. This is Fred's place here. Down here. That's where Fred lives. And Fred and Andy are cousins. They're actually cousins once removed, but they're cousins, right? So actually, I think this is where Fred lives. His mother lives at one property and he lives at another. I think Fred lives here, but it's further down Ben Hill Road, right? Fred told Ziggy, the channel Ziggy's spoken to him a couple of times, a few times. There's a few interviews on Ziggy's channel of her talking to Fred. The audio isn't the best, but you can hear it. Fred isn't the best speaker. He's kind of very mumbly, but Fred said that he saw Andy on Ben Hill Road about 3:30 that day on June 15th. Now, if what Fred said was right, that makes Geordie Sue's story completely wrong, and it makes Andy's story completely wrong. And it puts Andy absolutely in the firing line. It makes him look as guilty as hell. But was Fred telling the truth? Now, I've always had a suspicion, and Andy has said he doesn't understand why Fred is saying these things, that what Fred's motive is, he doesn't know, because they're cousins, right? They are cousins, but they're not close. They used to play together as kids, but they're not close, right? They don't have a close relationship. But why would Fred say that Andy was on Ben Hill Road at 3:30 if he wasn't? Why would he lie is the question. Why would he lie? Or was he mistaken? Was it a different day? And Andy thinks Fred is simply mistaken. I've always had a suspicion that Fred is in cahoots with Geordie Sue. And Geordie Sue has got Fred to tell Ziggy a load of lies. I truly believe that. But if you followed that when Ziggy was playing all of those kind of interviews on her channel, I had this feeling that Geordie Sue was behind it all, but I can't prove it. I don't know. I can't prove it. It's just my suspicion. And Fred had been told to say that it was June 15th because it would get Andy into trouble. I don't know. Or Fred was genuinely mistaken. So let's just hear this last couple of minutes of this clip and about what Andy said about Fred.
He saw you, that he passed you on the road. Is that true?
That day on the 15th,
Do you remember or no?
I don't remember seeing him that day. I remember talking to him maybe later on that night or the next day or something. I don't really remember when it was. But I've heard people. And that was either a day after or a day or two before. I'm pretty sure it was before Summer went missing. We came in
Can you
about.
just repeat that, Andy? Because you cut out. Sorry. You cut out. Just what you just said.
Your sound was real good, but then it changed just a little bit.
My internet.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
I'm pretty sure what he's got some days mixed up, because the day that he had to get by me and go in the holler was, I'm pretty sure, a day or two or a few days before Summer went missing. I can't remember when that was. Me and him actually, I yelled some shit at him, and
Was it Merry Christmas?
yeah.
That's funny. So he believes that it was possibly a day or two before that they did meet on Ben Hill Road. They exchanged words. Fred was driving like a nutcase, driving too fast, and they exchanged words. And Fred could be genuinely mistaken about the day. He genuinely thought it was June 15th. But it wasn't. It was the 14th, the 13th, the 12th, a few days before. Who said what? If she was in cahoots with Fred, though, why would he have said he thought she was up to something suspicious? Absolutely. It's just one of my what ifs. One of my, I wonder if she's put some things in his head. Or is Fred just a joker? Fred is a genuine joker. Because there's some things he said that you've got to admit were a bit out there, right? The monkeys. If you listen to those, and you're like the monkeys and these bones that surely anybody who's lived in the country all their life, like Fred has, would know they were not human bones. They were deer bones. I took one look at them when Ziggy put the photos on. They were deer bones. It was obvious. When did Fred say he saw Candice? Now, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I do. It wasn't Fred who saw her. I got that wrong at first. It was someone Fred knew said that they saw Candice on Fred's driveway around 4:30, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. That Candice was walking down Ben Hill Road and she walked up Fred's driveway about 4:30. Now that's just what Fred said. Read my comment. I'm low-key fangirling over here. Which comment? Oh, I see. Yeah, that I read your comment. All right, okay. That's I got it. So yeah, I think it was around 4:30 that Robert, you're back. I don't think they were chicken bones. They look like deer bones. Like the skull, there was a skull bone. Well, a deer bone to me. I'd have to go back. I think maybe Ziggy took them off, and I don't think I saved them. But they were definitely, let's put it this way, they were definitely animal bones. They didn't look like human bones to me. But Ziggy kind of believed that they might be. Letitia says, I thought Fred said around 3:30 when he saw Candice. I don't think it was. I think he saw Andy. He claims he saw Andy around 3:30 and then Candice was later. I could be wrong. I'll have to go back and check. But there was this claim made by Fred to Ziggy that Andy was seen on Ben Hill Road about 3:30 and Candice was also seen, but walking on his driveway, possibly 4:30. But it may be a little bit before that. But was that true? Now, remember, Fred lives here. So Candice has walked down here. And remember, Candice doesn't walk anywhere. But this is the claim. And as I said, it came from Fred. But as I understand it, Fred didn't see her. It was someone Fred knew. So was it this guy who lives here, maybe? Or someone lives here, maybe? I don't know. But I think this is Fred's gaff here. So Candice is what did he? Now, maybe she was looking for Summer. Maybe she knew Summer was missing way before. And thought, yeah, she runs, Cammy, yeah. It's possible. It's absolutely possible that Candice was there looking for Summer. And she's not admitted how long Summer was missing. That either she didn't know, in which case, why was she on Fred's drive? Don't know. Even if she was, we don't know if she was. It's just a claim that's been made. Or alternatively, she knew someone was missing all that time, but she tried her best to find her, but didn't tell Don how long she'd been missing. And she was scared to tell Don. And then everything's kind of spiraled from there. Maybe she went down here, parked the car somewhere along here, and then just walked around the driveways, walked and had a look. I don't know. Or it could be a mistake or somebody trying to get Candice into trouble. We don't know. That's just a claim that was made. All right, so that's it for that clip. Now I'm going to move us to something a little bit different. We're going to talk about the dogs. So Candice's claims about the dogs, not Candice, Geordie Sue's claims about the dogs and the footprints, because this has come up again very recently. All right, but I need a bathroom break, so I've got a little kind of 2-minute thing that I'll play that's called Please Hold. Actually, it's only a minute, so I'm gonna have to be really quick. All right, so please hold. There we go, guys. I don't actually know whether the mic mutes when those little clips are playing. If it didn't mute, you'll have heard my son say, "How many viewers have you got?" And me saying 880. Not quite made the 1,000. We were up to 900 and something earlier on. But yeah, I was going to give some, if we got to 1,000, I was going to give some memberships away. So there's still time. There's still time. Now I've had my little bathroom break. I had to be very quick. That's the quickest bathroom break I think I've ever done. I'm going to have to make that clip, my please hold clip, a little bit longer. However, I don't normally do lives this long. So, you know, I've never actually had to use it. Thank you, Sassafras Kath. I got to 975. That is very, very close. Very close. You like the little brown dog? Oops, wrong one. Like the little brown dog. Do you want me to play it again? Just for a little break. And then we'll get back into Geordie Sue. And I think she's lying. I think we've got her in some lies here. So this is important. All right, I'm going to play this again just for shits and giggles. There we go. Some Springer Spaniels and a little brown dog. Pippa was on that clip. Little Pippa. She's dead now. She went over Rainbow Bridge a few weeks ago. Very, very old lady she was. And very sad. Very sad. Very sad. Anyway, right, let's crack on with this, shall we? Let's crack on. So I am going to show you some slides. And then within these slides, there's a video clip that I want to play. Now, these are all about the footprints, and we get into the dogs as well. So the search dogs, stopping at Geordie Sue's feet, which she has now decided. She's now denied that the search dog stopped at her feet. How many people heard Geordie Sue say the search dog stopped at her feet? Many people have heard that. She denied it. Then she had to go back. She was proven wrong, and she had to go back and make up a story, which I believe is a lie. So, okay, but let's start with the footprints. All right, let's share this. Okay, I can get rid of some of these things now. All right, here we go. I can't put this on. StreamYard gives you an option of putting your PowerPoint slides on StreamYard, so they actually play from StreamYard. But the file size has got to be really small, so I'm just going to do it like this because that's how I roll. And it gives me the opportunity to zoom in as well, at least a little bit, if I don't put the slideshow on. So let's remind ourselves. Now, it doesn't matter whether you believe that the footprints were Summers and made on June 15th, or whether you don't believe that they were Summers, or you don't believe that they were made on June 15th, that yes, they were Summers, but they weren't made on June 15th. It doesn't matter for the purposes of this. This is kind of just to demonstrate what Jodie Sue's been saying, right? Because again, she's been very disingenuous about the footprints. All right, so let's remind ourselves of the footprints. So again, these are claims that have been made. Law enforcement have never confirmed or denied. She definitely said it, didn't she? Stark here, Rottweilers. She defo said it. She did. She defo said it. I've got the clip. I can play you the clip. I actually put it on a YouTube short on Michelle Walks a couple of days ago. That clip is there. The clip is there. All right, we'll get there though in a minute. All right, so law enforcement have neither confirmed nor denied Kyle's leaving. What's this message? Going now. You write like a 10-year-old, you know. He's passed me a note. Please hold. Going now. We'll be back Thursday morning. Vape and a note on the side in your room. All right. I shall be finished within the hour. So I shall read your note then, if I can understand it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, guys, he's going. Susie says bye, Kyle.
Bye, Susie.
Kyle says bye, Susie.
See you later.
See you later. He's going to his girlfriend's. His girlfriend's at uni in Manchester, and she lives in a student house. And he spends most of his time there when he's not at uni. He's off uni this week. So I'll see him on Thursday. So I might fit in another stream. It's a lot easier to stream when he's not here because If he's not gaming, right? If he's gaming, it means that the internet just packs up and I can't stream, or I struggle. It keeps going down. And if he's in, I get interrupted with him passing me notes and asking me how many viewers I've got and stuff. When he was younger, he used to troll my chat. So, yeah, he was a troll. Oh, dear me. Anyway, I knew who he was, so that was fine. Anyway, let's get back to seriousness here. I've been on live for a long time. This is a long time for me. You know that struggle, Trixie Star, yeah. And my brain starts to go a bit to mush. Anyway, right. Law enforcement have neither confirmed nor denied the existence of the footprints. I didn't text her. I tweeted Leslie Earhart, the media person from the TVI, but she never replied. So I don't know what to make about that. Maybe she was just busy. Maybe she didn't want to correspond with any other mad YouTube sleuth who wants information. So we're going off what neighbours have said about the footprints and where they were. All right. So this is my little map that I did. All right, so I've got various versions of this. This one's the zoomed out one because I've got Frank Light on this for purposes of other kind of investigations. This is where Frank Light lives, registered RSO, lives here, but we're not talking about him today. So we'll zoom into this part. All right, Fred's here. And then we've got, it's impossible to zoom this right in. It just flips. But we've got Ben Hill Road, 110 Ben Hill Road here. We've got Geordie Sue's cabin here. We've got the dog trail where Geordie Sue claims the dogs. There was a scent marking, a scent alert down the dog trail. We know though from multiple sources, including Dave Rader from Equisearch, that it was actually the driveway, that the scent went down the driveway. All right. Linda says, I was at the bottom of the driveway at 110 Manhill Road. So sad. Oh. Sage Sleuth is in the house. Hi, everyone. I listened to your live yesterday, Sage Sleuth. It was very interesting. Okay, so then we go down here, and then this is Simpson Road down here. We've got Mary, who lives here. So she is now deceased. She died in June of this year. But this is her property. She's actually Don Wells' step aunt. She's Don Wells' stepfather's sister. So lived very close. They actually share a border. Actually, they don't. They may do here, actually. Because this is another property. Somebody can remind me whose property this is. I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. So Mary has this property here, right? And then Don and Candice here. Jodie Sue's property here, or the Bernard property here. Laurel, yes, I'm going to get to that. Has it been mentioned that Jodie Sue told people that a police canine stopped at her feet? We are going to get there. I'm going to talk about that. Just want to go through these footprints first, because Jodie Sue's been very disingenuous about the footprints. Then we'll get on to the dogs and what Jodie Sue said about the dog stopping at her feet. She absolutely said it. She said it, and then she's denied it, and then she's had to change her story. So, yeah, Mary's here. And then, allegedly, there was footprints on Mary's property. Now, these are general areas. These are not exactly where the footprints were. These are just general areas, right? I just dropped them in the irrelevant properties, but I just dropped them because I don't know where they were exactly on these properties. These are big properties, right? So there's a set of footprints here that were alerted on by a dog, and here. So these are two different neighbours, right? And there was also a scent alert here, which is near Fred's, but it's not on Fred's property. It's on someone else's property, who's been very cooperative, right? So it's just a dog scented on there. All right. So again, doesn't mean that these were sent from June 15th, but that I've had to be very close to it for the sense to still be there. I've done videos about that. All right. So this Mary's house here, you can see very, very clearly up this track here. That's Mary's house at the top of there. This is a screenshot from a video that Don Wells did. It's from Voices Behind the Walls, retracing his steps video. So Don, you can just see the hood of the Subaru there. Don's in the car, and he just pans around, and the creek's kind of here-ish. The shed's just back there somewhere, and you can see Mary's house. So that's how close it is. Right, very close. So if Summer was playing on a hill and running around and going down the drive and playing with her brothers, it's very easy for Summer to have got onto Simpson Road, to got down here. Very easy. All right, so it's perfectly feasible that if Candice, this is just a theory, if Candice had no idea what the kids were doing, right, and the planting the flowers and all of this script thing may or may not have happened. We don't know, right? But it's certainly, if they did plant some flowers, what did it take? Like a few succulents, putting them in a pot, 2 minutes, right? This certainly didn't take all the time up, did it? So whether that happened or not, there was a whole lot more time to explain. And I believe that Candice hasn't explained, and that makes her look very guilty, very suspicious. But it could simply be that there was all that time because Candice was busy or asleep, whatever, right? Drinking, whatever, just not paying attention. That's one theory. And the kids could have been running riot for all she knew. The kids could have been down the driveway, including Summer, down the driveway, running around Ben Hill, running down here, running up here. Could be all around. And if we can accept that that could have happened, and that's a possibility, then it's quite possible that if Summer was here or Summer was on Beach Street, she got kidnapped. It's perfectly feasible. I don't believe Summer got kidnapped off the top of her hill. I think that's a ridiculous thing to say. How would somebody even dare even risk it? Thank you, Hazel Burke, for becoming a secret agent. That's very kind of you. Welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Tina, didn't she tell 911 when she went for a walk? That's what the dispatch call said, that the mom went for a walk. But it could have just been not a mistake by the dispatcher. But if Candice said, I walked from my mother's camper to my home, the dispatcher wouldn't have known that it was only 20 or 30 feet. So I think possibly it could be explained that way. She said she never walked. She's scared of the bears and the snakes. But who knows? Who knows? Right? She went for a walk. Who knows? All right. Now, so if we can accept that Candice didn't know where the kids were and she was drunk or asleep or something else, then it's perfectly feasible for Summer to have been playing out and Candice not known. Therefore, it makes it feasible that these were Summer's footprints. But how did they get up here? Right? This is, from this point to this point, it's 0.8 miles going in a straight line. It's not very far. Summer's a very fit little girl. It's not far. But why would Summer have walked all the way down there? Why would she have walked all the way down there? I can't see it. Not on her own. Someone taken her down there? Possibly, yes. So these are what the neighbours have said. And I've got a range of screenshots here from various neighbours. Now, I've blacked out all the names. One name is all out there. But there's various neighbours who've been commenting, and I've been collecting these from early doors, very early in the case. These screenshots were, well, these comments were made by neighbours in very early Facebook groups of the case. and they've done the rounds. They've been posted and posted and posted and posted, and I've just been collecting them. And these are not all that's out there. These are just a selection. They're the ones I could find easily. All right, so again, no names. I heard search dogs were all over the place. Neighbour said her scent was found in his yard and woods next to him. That was from the neighbour's mouth. And then the neighbour comments, yes, a barefoot child's footprint that the dogs identified her scent in my woods and the neighbour's woods. No other scent or footprints were found. Just my opinion with nothing else to base it on, but that sounds like she was being carried and set down to make it through a rough area. You would expect more prints if she was walking. Search crews have been all over my land for several days before the footprint was found. So there were already plenty of adult footprints there. And that explains why there weren't any adult footprints. There was just these handful, very small numbers, like 2, like in an area. I think there was 1 footprint in one area and 3 in another or something like that. Very small number and no adult footprints. Well, there was tons of adult footprints, but those footprints, at least in this neighbour's yard, or woods, not in his yard, in his woods, were found on the 19th, so 4 days after Summer disappeared, and there'd already been search crews through. And then a search dog alerted and they investigated and they found this print. Presumably, they've took casts of them. Oops, got his name on, but it doesn't matter. We know who this guy is. Okay. All right. Now he got a lot of flack, shall we say, from people on social media. And this was in the first week, right? The footprints on his land were found on the 19th. So it was in the first week that he posted on Facebook saying that they'd found a footprint and they thought someone was alive. And Dave Rader from Equisearch, he's talked about this on Police Off the Cuff. He's talked about this on Duty Ron, that he knew that searchers had found some footprints. Now, he wasn't there. He came into town on the evening of the 19th to help with the search, but he wasn't there during that search. He only heard from searchers the day after. Okay, so last time I checked, I'm pretty sure I know where I have. So he's being snarky because people were like contradicting him and stuff. I was in my yard when the search crew was on my property. I heard the dogs bark to identify a scent. A few minutes later, 2 deputies pulled in my driveway on a gator and told me they had found a child's bare footprint and the dogs identified Summer's scent on it. They asked what size shoes my kids wore and if my kids had been in the woods barefoot in the last couple of days. After that, they found another footprint farther up the ridge in my other neighbour's woods. So at some point, she walked from her house through my yard into my neighbour's yard and into the woods behind their house. They brought out a massive search crew and searched all of my vehicles, buildings, and my entire property, flew the helicopters over us for several hours straight. Never found anything else we know of. All right, so let's remind ourselves. Now, this guy, oh, look at this, it's gone way off. It's because I'm messing about with it. All right. So this is where this guy lives. It's a Beach Creek address. And he thought that she'd walked down here into his yard, like not been seen, and then back to the other neighbour's woods. Now, this is Mary Sexton's property, so the woods at Mary Sexton's. There is some talk, actually, that there was a footprint found next to one of these trailers. Cam from Cracking Cases has talked about it. Now, I've not seen in the messages from neighbours any confirmation of that. And if there was, were they additional to the ones that were found in the woods? I don't know the answer to that because I don't know where Cam heard that from. But that has been mentioned, and the trailers would be like here. There's a trailer here. Okay, so but we don't know. Like, he was just on the assumption that Summer went down here and then back round there, but we don't know, because there was scent also going down the driveway. So Summer might have gone down there, down there. There was a scent alert here that we've heard about. Again, who's the baby Springer? That's one of my daughter's dogs. She's grown up now. That clip's a few months old. The baby Springer's one of my daughters. She's grown up now. Well, she's not actually. I don't know how old she'll be. 7, 8 months old now. Cheryl says Summer had no nourishment that day. How would she have energy for a hike? We don't know that she didn't know. This is the thing. Because although there's no talk of them eating while they were out, we don't know that Summer didn't eat when she got home. And then Candice went to sleep, or I don't know, got drunk or whatever. We don't know. We don't know. But Summer was very, very active. So, and it's not that big of a hike, especially if she were, I mean, I don't think this is a steep ridge. I did a video about how steep this was, that if it was on the ridge, as he said, on Mary's property, then it's steep. The chances of her getting up there on her own are minuscule. The chances of her wanting to go up there on her own are minuscule. If it's true that these footprints were Summer's, she's not got there on her own. But we don't know. Right? We don't know. All right, so next one. So then again, this is a neighbour. They found her footprints in a couple of different yards. So he says yards here. It was actually in the woods. I was standing 100 feet from the dogs when they identified her scent on a barefoot footprint. Deputy came over and asked what size shoes my kids wore. So he's reiterating it. He's just telling different people. Fresh print on her scent. Nothing she could have fallen into, but I've been letting the search crews do their job and not disturbing where they were looking. So people are kind of asking him lots of questions. And he deleted all of his stuff because he was getting abuse. And then he came back. I think this is a day or two later. I was informed by deputies to make sure when I post anything, to make sure I explain it in full detail. So there's no way anyone could misinterpret it. Someone got confused over me calling a footprint physical evidence and blew their phone lines up thinking it was new evidence. I do have that screenshot, I think, but it's not in this slideshow. So I'm being very precise here. So he says, 2 footprints, child size, barefoot, not my kids' prints. One on my land, one on a neighbour's land that doesn't want their name or location mentioned. We now know it was Mary's. And she actually, her daughter, who lives there, actually was responding to comments, and that was released. That's how I know it's on Mary's land. I do not want my location shown either. Search dogs barked on my land. Deputy asked me questions about my kids' shoe sizes. I asked if the dog's barking meant it was her scent. He said yes. Said it had to be recent print left after she disappeared. Informed me it could have been the day before. Right, scent on soft earth can linger for days. Who said what? Dave Rader said the prints were true. Dave Rader talked about them. He said he can't vouch for the truthfulness. Those were his words, because he wasn't there. He's just heard it from the searchers who found them the day before. Jackie says, is this why Ellie think a bear carried her off? Possibly, yes. That she's in those woods. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. All right. So prints were about 3/4 of a mile or so apart. The print in my yard was behind a ridge, so not where we would have seen anyone. Next print was further up a ridge near another neighbour's house. Not sure which print was left first, so no clue what direction she was going. All right, so again, back to this. So his ridge here, and then the ridge that's Mary's property. So we don't know exactly. It was probably actually a bit further up here. If they're 3/4 of a mile apart, that's not 3/4 of a mile. So probably a bit further up here. Actually, I should have put my pin. But in this general area, right? So on a ridge, so not somewhere a little kid would go on their own, in my opinion. I know, Gina, I've heard the rumours that Don Wells is out of jail. I don't know. I can't check it out because I don't know. It could be. It could be true. But he's due out on the 30th anyway. So even if it's not true, he's going to be out in a week anyway. All right. So same neighbour told me it wasn't on their ridge. It wasn't in the yard, but on a ridge. So we know that they were in the woods on a ridge. All right. And this is... the daughter of Mary, I believe, talking to the neighbour, the other neighbour. So the two neighbours whose Summer's footprints were found on the properties were talking to each other. All right. So this is what this says. So this is one neighbour. This is another neighbour. So it wasn't in the yard. It was up behind us on a ridge we own. Any new clues down your way? I stopped and talked to the deputies yesterday and asked them if they want us to stay off the land so we don't disturb anything. This is actually June 25th. You see here. Actually, I don't know because that's, yeah, June 25th. Blah, blah, blah. Asked them if they wanted to stay off the land so we don't disturb anything or they wanted us looking. They said, by all means, go out and search every last inch of our property. Excuse me. When I got home from work, we are going to start looking. And then the other neighbour says, okay, let me know if anything stands out. Mom and I searched what we could. She just isn't able, and neither am I. So Mary, whose land it was a very old lady. She'd now died. She died in June. So they're not going to be going hiking up ridges, trying to find kind of, things. Okay, right. The reason why I've shown you this is because look at that, just how it stopped. The reason why I've shown you all this as a preamble is because Geordie Sue has been talking about the footprints. The preamble to this is that Geordie Sue got Cam on the phone, Cam from Cracking Cases. So Geordie Sue tried ringing Cam a few days ago on a couple of occasions. Cam talked about it on a live. Geordie Sue has been, I don't know, slagging him off or whatever. And Cam, she called Cam. I think she called him while she was live. And they ended up on panel together and having a right old argument. Now, this is difficult to hear. Right, but I'm going to play it anyway. It's difficult to hear. How long is it? It doesn't tell me how long it is on, because I've just embedded this in PowerPoint. I've not got it on my channel. Anyway, let's play it.
Yeah, really? Okay.
Yes, the 19th. June 19th. Dave Rader is when he came into town.
They fucking Raiders, yeah.
He was told that the one property owners, property that they had located, tracked. They thought that they were going to find Summer that night.
Dave Rader wasn't present. He was mixed up.
He had just came into town.
Yeah, he wasn't present though for those night searches. And hey, Cam, here's a fucking big giant clue for you and Radar. All right, Raider, whatever the fuck his name is. That's not what precipitated. Well, that is not what set off the night searches that night with the fucking helicopter. So good luck, bro.
Well, that's not what the neighbour said. So Geordie Sue doesn't like Dave Rader because she doesn't like outsiders. Dave Rader coming in, searching land, that her family or Andy's family have owned for generations. She didn't like it. Yeah, please do be respectful about Cam, please. I actually like Cam. I like him a lot. So no disrespect to any creator. So if we see any creator, it is hours long, Yoda. Yeah, it is. I sat through it. But actually, Geordie Sue plays things twice, so it's actually not that long because there's a phone call. Cam gets on panel. They have an argument about the dog thing, which we're getting to. And she's wrong. She's blatantly wrong. She plays it all the way through again. The whole conversation, she plays it all the way through again. And then she finds out there is a message saying exactly what she said. Oh dear. But she's lying. She's lying. She's lying. Right? This is just what she's like. So if she's lying about things like this, how can we believe anything? So, yeah, Cam's got ADD. That's why he's sometimes scatterbrained and stuff. He's got ADD. He's talked about it. So, yeah, and please don't talk about creators, right? Say nice things, but I do not want any disrespect to creators. I'm playing their content, right? So, you know, we've got to be respectful that they've taken the time to make this content, allowing the fair use of the playing of their content. It's informative. So, anyway, right. So she doesn't like Dave Rader. She said that Dave Rader didn't know what he was talking about. No, it's true. Dave Rader said himself on Police Off the Cuff. I've got the clip in a video somewhere. He said he got into town on the night of the 19th of June. It was a Saturday night. He started to search on the Sunday morning. That's when he heard about the footprint and the massive search that was done. She's now saying that it wasn't the footprints that instigated the massive search, except it was, because the neighbour whose property the footprint was found on has talked about it. Talked about it. Said. Can't remember which one it was now. Here. Right, look. So at some point she walked from house, blah, blah, blah. They brought out a massive search crew and searched all of my vehicles, buildings, and my entire property, and flew the helicopters over us for several hours straight. Never found anything else we know of, except Geordie Sue thinks she knows better. She thinks that this search, this massive search, which I'll actually show you in a minute, right? It was live streamed. Somebody took, it's only a couple of minutes clip, but it was streamed. Somebody saw it. She thinks it wasn't because of that footprint. Or is she just being argumentative because Cam is talking, like, because Cam's talked about the footprints a lot and she doesn't like the fact he has, and she doesn't like him, and she doesn't like Dave Rader. So she has to rubbish them both. She's a gaslighter. She's a gaslighter. She seems to know all the things. Yeah, she does. Bright light. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, really? Okay.
Oh,
Yes, the 19th,
all right. Play it again.
June 19th, Dave Rader is when he came into town.
They fucking Raiders, yeah.
He was told that one property owners, property that they had located, tracked. They thought that they were going to find Summer that night.
You know Dave Rader wasn't present. He was mixed up.
He had just came into town.
Yeah, he wasn't present though for those night searches. And hey, Cam, here's a fucking big giant clue for you and Radar. All right, Radar, whatever the fuck his name is. That's not what precipitated. Well, that is not what set off the night searches that night with the fucking helicopter. So good luck to both of you.
What was it?
None of your goddamn business.
Okay, so when I don't get to talk, you got to talk back.
No. You got to talk. I'm talking. Do you see that?
I tell your panel, I said, hello, this is one-sided. I knew this is how you would do that. You say everything's word salad. You just wait.
You just asked me for information on Summer's case. What you did was I said, that's not what set off that one night search. And then you were like, well, then what was? And I was like, none of your business. And therefore you were denied information. And then you tell me that I'm... Oh my God.
My turn?
Is it your turn to speak? You know what? Can you, like, holy shit, am I...
I'm asking for one. May I have one question?
Oh, she was awful. She was awful. She really was. Can you imagine living with her? Right? Can you imagine that? Exactly, Wist. Jodisue has practiced all these tactics on Andy and the kids, her parents, grandparents, exactly. Exactly. We are seeing when Jodisue's riled like this, and someone said above that she's triggered by the footprints. She absolutely is. We don't know why, but she's triggered. Whether she's triggered by the footprints, Dave Raider, Cam, or she's just being generally obnoxious, she is so triggered. Exactly, Grammy. She was calling Cam and Ali at 7 and 4 a.m. So it doesn't sound legit. Exactly. All right, so do you want to see this search? This is someone on Beach Creek. So this is someone on Beach Creek Road, and you can see them searching in the field on Beach Creek. It is eerie. I think it was Holly that said that. It gives you chills. It does me. It does me. I mean, I slowed it down. I slow-moed it. And it absolutely does give you chills. And it was actually someone in my comments. These are from my comment section from someone in Tennessee. I remember the night they searched late. The helicopter was shining lights and the searchers had flashlights. Someone, don't remember who, but we found them. And that's the little clip that you've just seen. Shared a live stream. I was so praying they would find her during that time. I believe the searchers probably saw more footprints on public land or on people's properties that the public don't know about as well. I also believe it's why Sheriff Lawson asked the landowners to repeatedly check their properties. That's obviously just their opinion. We don't know if there's more footprints or scent alerts, and we've only heard about a handful of them. It's possible, but it's absolutely why there was this concentration. And this is from the 19th here. It says here, look, tweet from the 19th of the 6th. Okay, so this is from Bianca Murray from WJHL. Update, crews are actively searching a field near Beach Creek Road in Hawkins County. It's where Summer Wells was reported missing. New information in the search for Summer Wells. A search team and helicopter are searching land off Beach Creek, not far from Ben Hill Road, where Summer was reported missing. TBI confirmed they're following up on a lead that Summer is still missing. They were following up on a lead. It was the footprints that were found they were following up on. Search team and helicopters are searching land off Beach Creek Road, so that's that. And this, now this is from FlightAware, and this is the helicopter's trajectory, not trajectory, flight path. Okay, so there's a couple of these. I can't remember which one's from June and which one's from November, because they came back in November and searched exactly the same area. And it's this area where the footprints were. And again on this one. All right. But Jodisue, right, whether you believe the footprints are Summers or some, yeah, they found something, but it's not Summers, and the search dog alerted for some other reason, which is perfectly possible, I guess. Jodisue had to gaslight Cam by saying Dave Raider's F this and F that. Dave Raider didn't know. Dave Raider wasn't there, and just trying to kind of belittle the efforts. You know, she went on to rant about EquiSearch. Absolute, utter nonsense she is. She's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. So if we look at this flight path here in relation, that's Simpson Road. So that's the cutting. That's the Welsh shed. The cutting up Simpson Road. And that's the area where the footprints were. And look, that's the area where the footprints were. So Jodisue, though, thinks she knows better. Jodisue thinks she knows better. And then this was communication between two neighbours on, I want to say the 25th, but the date's off here. It might be a little bit later than that, but somebody contacting the man whose footprints were, the property the footprints were found on. Don't want to pry and understand if you don't answer this, but is there a police presence in the area still at all? I haven't seen any since they shut down the command center. So this was later. This was later because they searched for 13 days and then they kind of shut things down. Jodisue said that they were still searching. Maybe they were isolated searches, but they took the command center down and, you know, gone off and done other things. I haven't seen them since they shut down the command center. They searched our whole area really well, though. They were on my land several times with large search crews. The helicopter that flew over my land for about 2 days straight. FBI was stopping every car that came near Ben Hill Road and searching them, taking account of who was in the car. Really isn't much more that we can do in the immediate area. And they say thank you. So that's regarding the footprints. Now, let's move on to the final thing. Save. The final thing I want to talk about is Jodisue and the Jodisue and the dog stopping at her feet, because she swore blind, she swore black and blue to Cam. I haven't copied this because it went on for ages, right? It went on for ages. But I do have a YouTube short that I made a couple of days ago. And this was, where's my channel gone? Do it this way. They went on for ages, right? Audio. Is my audio not working? Can you hear me now? Everyone hear me now? Oh, it's just YouTube. All right, it's fine. It's fine. It's just the internet playing up. I've been streaming for nearly 3 hours. It doesn't like it. Go out and come in again and it refreshes. All right. All right. I think it should be fine. Can hear me. All right. We've not got much more to go, and then I'll leave you to your lives. I just want to talk through this bit because this is a absolute slam dunk for Jodisue lying. All right. It just shows you what a gaslighter she is. All right, so we all heard. Can you hear me now? Yeah, Peter K from Bolton. She said the dog stopped at her feet. The search dog stopped at her feet. Right. And then she was like, oh, the dogs were fighting, blah, blah, blah. She said it all. And then she denied it. It went on for ages on the stream. That's why I didn't copy it, because it just went on for ages. But I made this YouTube short. So let's listen to this.
If you have something that doesn't exist, Cam, show them from the 15, 16, 17. Show them. No, you said 15 that I was walking the dogs. So that's what I told Andy. That is not what we said, and you can go back and listen to that, please.
Gaslighting semantics, Jodisue. What about the 16th of June? How about that?
That's what Donna has had no idea where the dogs stop. That's why Kraken is wrong about it. That's why everybody's wrong about everything. Who's saying what is wrong? Dawn is not wrong because they were out there. How about your dogs? Let's get to that. I was standing there and the dog stopped at my feet.
The dog stopped at my feet.
Something that doesn't exist, Cam.
So she absolutely said, I think it was got that from Shay's channel, Shay's Safe Place. You hear Shay guys like saying, what about the dogs? What about the dogs? What about your dogs? So what happened was, right, the search dog stopped at her feet. And the reason the dog stopped at her feet, she claims, is because the search dog started fighting with her dogs. So Cam said, why did you take your dog for a walk on the day that they were searching? And she completely gaslighted him by saying, where did I say that on the 15th? Where did I say that on the 15th? And he said, no, 15th, 16th, 17th. He couldn't remember exactly. And they were trying to find this message. And she was like, because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And it absolutely does exist. It does exist. Right? She did. She texted Andy. She's released it. She texted Andy. All right, let's just play this through.
From the 15, 16, 17. Show them. No, you said 15 that I was walking the dog. So that's what I told Andy. That is not what we said. And you can go back and listen to that, please.
And they had to go and listen to the whole conversation again. But he didn't say the 15th. He said 15th, 16th, or 17th. Semantics, Geordie Sue. What about the 16th of June? How about that? There. They're here with the new dogs, new teams. And then you can't see that because of the down arrow, but it's asked to walk hours. Dogs look like leading something, something, something. So she asked if she could walk their dogs, right? She asked some cop if she could walk the dogs. So she lied to Cam. She absolutely lied. That she said, we never walk our dogs. You know, the dogs just hang out. But then when she realized she was caught out, because she was caught out, right, she changed her story. So yet again, this is just another thing about her changing her story. So I shall play you this. This is Geordie Sue. This is Geordie Sue finding the text message. So she went through, Cam had got off panel by this point. She went through the 18th, because I think Cam found the text and it looked like it said the 18th, but it's actually not, it's the 16th, right? So she then had to backtrack because she found the text. She found it. She had to backtrack. So let's listen.
Anyway, Monster says, okay, be careful, love you. And then I'm like, they're here with new dogs, new teams, ellipses, asked to walk hours, ellipses, dogs look like leading them past barn. All right. So what I meant by this one, asked to walk hours, asked to walk. I didn't say I.
So she did walk the dogs. She did walk the dogs. But listen to this.
Was walking. I had to ask. I had to ask the FBI, TBI, all that shit, right? Because our dogs had been put up. Put up. All right. I just want y'all to be aware of these crimes.
Right, they are, Danielle, odd things to lie about. The weird things to lie about. The small details. So why lie? Why become completely oppositional? Just because you've been questioned. Why do you have to say, no, the footprint, the big search wasn't because of the footprints, it was something else. And then when Cam says, right, what was it then? She says, no, I'm not going to tell you. Because it's nonsense, because it was about those footprints. At least what we've seen from other neighbours, it was. That's what they've said. Right. So why does Geordie Sue know any different? Why does Geordie Sue think different? What does she know that no one else knows? Right. And with this, why tell Cam, oh well, you've not got a text from the 15th, trying to gaslight him, and he didn't say the 15th. It's stupid. It's silly. It's silly. But why lie about it? Is it just that she is gaslighting, thinks it's funny. Defensive, Holly, yeah. Why so defensive? And these are the things, these small things that all added up make you think, does she know more? Is she genuinely just so oppositional that she's just literally trolling everybody and has been doing for the last year because she thinks it's funny? Or she likes the attention and she's keeping it going? Or does she know more and she's lying for a reason? Is she triggered about certain things for a reason? Cold Crystal, yeah. Asked to walk her dogs. Welcome, by the way. Watch your channel as well. Asked to walk her dogs when she said before she could hardly walk herself, exactly. But the dogs, she had to walk them this time because they've been locked up, right? From the night before, they'd had to lock the dogs up and the dogs hadn't been out all day. So this was now the middle of the morning and they needed a bathroom break. You can't hear this old nurse. Has the sound gone again? No one else is saying. So we'll just keep going. We've got another minute of this.
Okay.
As if we can see that. As if we can see that.
That one right there, that last one, is the one Cam's talking about, and he's misconstrued it.
No, he hasn't.
Right.
He hasn't misconstrued it. He hasn't. Because that's the text that we're all talking about. She took her dog for a walk. Right? It's not misconstrued. She took her dog for a walk on the 16th. There's the text. See if you can see that.
All right. So you can screenshot that, flip it, do whatever you want with it. But it says they're here with new dogs, new teams. I put in some ellipses. Asked to walk hours. More ellipses. Dogs look like leading them past barn. All right. Now, I had to ask to take our dogs in and out, especially my biggest. He had been up since 1-ish or so in the morning. Well, it's technically the 16th, right? And here, let me show you something because I found this earlier too.
Well, we don't want to hear what she found else, but whatever. Here's my thing though, right? I can understand that if your dog has to be locked up, like in a shed or a barn or in the house, because the searchers all over your property and you don't have a fenced in area because they live in the country and the dogs just wander around, they don't have a fenced in area, she's going to have to take them for a walk. However, why did she take her dogs, down to the road? Why did she take them? Because, right, she has a property. I don't know how many acres that property of 125 Ben Hill Road is. It's bigger than the Wells, and the Wells have 11.2 acres. Why did she take her dogs down to the road to the place where the dogs were searching? Why didn't she take them in the other direction? Exactly, Angela. To throw the dogs off. To throw the dogs off. I'm back on StreamYard now, so I can highlight comments. That's what it looks like, isn't it? That she's taken her dogs out. Yes, she's asked. Can she take her dogs out because they've been locked up all night? They need a bathroom break. Well, she can take them. She can walk them around the house, like round the outside of the house. She doesn't have to go down to Ben Hill Road where they were searching to mess the dogs up. And then the dog stops at her feet because she says it wasn't a very good dog because it started fighting with her dogs. But we've heard from both her and Andy that those dogs were aggressive. So is it that this was a really bad search dog? Therefore, anything this dog found, we can't believe it because it's a bad dog. And it started fighting with her dog. Or is it likely that her aggressive dogs attacked that dog? And that dog, a highly trained dog, wouldn't fight back. They're trained not to fight back. Now, there might be some reaction, because if you're getting attacked, right, there might be some reaction, and the handler is not going to be happy whatsoever. So I can only conclude that even if her dogs needed a bathroom break because they've been locked up all night, that she took them into that location purposefully to throw off those dogs, to cause trouble. That's what I can conclude. And the answer to that is why. Because this was before YouTube. This was before any YouTuber knew she existed. This is what she did before YouTube. Why? Why? Yeah, everything seems to run wild on Ben Hill. It does. It does. And it's these things, these small things, when you get to the nitty-gritty of these small things, that you have to question why. You have to question why. So is she the attention seeker that has found YouTube and she's just using it to troll YouTubers, to complain, to be oppositional, to gaslight, to create hell about Andy? She could be just being nosy. But why take her? If she was just being nosy, she didn't need to take her dogs down, did she? She could have gone down and stayed at a distance away from the dogs and let them do their work. She didn't have to take her dogs there and take the dog so close that the search dog was able to stop at her feet. Why didn't she move away? You know, if she thought, oh, I'll take my dogs down here, saw the search dogs and thought, oh, I'll take my dogs in the other direction. But no, she carried on going, so much so that the search dog stopped at her feet. That does not make sense. It's these small things that make me very suspicious of her. It's the small things that make me suspicious of her. So there you go. There you go. But before we go, for those of you who are still here, we didn't quite make it to 1,000. I was going to give 20 memberships away if we made it to 1,000, but we didn't quite. We were 25 off. So instead of 20, I'm just going to give 10 away. So membership gifting. Now, how this works is, if you're not a channel member, if you're already a channel member, it doesn't count you. I pay for them, so I'm going to pay for 10 memberships. It lasts for a month, so you get 1 month's membership free. So I pay, you don't pay. And it will just cancel after a month. Obviously, if you want to carry on with the membership, then you then pay for the, you know, next month, the month after, and so on. There are some membership lives there, members only lives there. I did a members live yesterday. That was on Brian Laundrie. So if you missed it live, it was open to everybody to watch it, whether you were a subscriber or a member or not. Only members could chat. But once the live was over, then it switched to members only. So if you missed it and you want to watch it, and there's several others, I've got Jeffrey Dahmer, I've got, who else have I got? Rosemary Bly, Barry Morphew, John Benet Ramsey, and there's another I've done. Michael Vaughan I've done as well. And there's some kind of videos, some small videos, and there's status updates that I do every now and again. So I'm going to pay 10 memberships. Now, I'm not going to choose right? I'm not choosing. I'm paying, but I'm not choosing. YouTube chooses based on, I think it's based on how you interact with the channel. So if you like a lot of videos, you make comments, you come into chats, it chooses from that. All right. So let's sort out my credit card info here. All right. Bye. Okay, it's going through by the looks of things. Takes it forever. Yay. There we go. It doesn't show it up, I don't think, on StreamYard. So Michelle gifted 10 memberships. So let's see who got them. Let's see who got them. Yeah, YouTube chooses. YouTube chooses. It chooses based on, I don't know, interaction or something. All right, let's look who got them. When does it come through? When does it come through? It normally tells me who got the memberships. So welcome to memberships. Whoever got them. Whoever got them. Yeah, I know they're in green, Patty, but there's like other members like you who are already in the chat who are green. So I don't know who got them. Huh. Oh, that's weird. You can see all the lucky winners. Huh. Why can I not see them? Oh, here we go. It's coming through. It's coming through. It's coming through. All right. So we've got CSI. Oh, no. No, she's congratulating members. Who were the winners? I don't know. I don't know. Apparently, you guys can see them and I can't. On my screen, they're different. Okay. Maybe I can see it in studio. Can I see it in studio? Because last time I did this a while ago, like a couple of streams ago. And it told me who the new members were. It just came up and told me who they were. But it's not done this time. All right. I think it's these guys. I think it's these guys, but I don't know because you might have joined on your own. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Huh. It can't be because that's just 9. I don't know. I don't know. That's bizarre. It shows in chat. I know I'm looking at chat. I'm looking at chat. Scroll back. So there was Mad Miss Hatter was gifted a membership. Oh, you can see they're gifted memberships. We've got Marie, who's just joined, but I think you've joined by yourself. That is bizarre. It told me last time. I wanted to read them out. Oh, well, not to worry. If you're a winner, then congratulations. You get a month free membership, courtesy of me. So there you go. Enjoy being a member of the Secret Agents Club for the next week. So, so Marie says it did show them. Alyssa Ann was gifted a membership. Posted the 10 above. Oh, well. Oh, well, congratulations, everybody. Whoever they were. I wanted to read you out, but anyway. Yeah, and if you're interested in gifting memberships, you can gift memberships as well. So instead of sending me a super chat, you can gift memberships, which doesn't just benefit me from getting new members, but it also benefits other people by gifting them a membership, giving them a gift as well as the channel a gift. So you can do it as well. If you go to that down at the bottom where you would do a super chat, there's an option that says gift memberships. And you just click on that and buy 5 or whatever memberships you want to do. So 5 memberships would be £14.95. If you wanted to gift 1 membership to somebody, it would be £2.99. I don't know what that is in dollars. And then so on and so forth. So yeah, you can do that. You can all do that. Just in future, if you didn't know it, not just on mine, you might want to gift memberships on someone else's channel. And that's it. It's a new thing from YouTube. So people don't know about it. Not a lot of people know about it, but it's there. It benefits everybody. You know, so if you are somebody who, you know, gives a super chat, then perhaps maybe next time you could give some memberships and it benefits everybody then. It's just a thought. All right, guys. We've gone for 3.25 hours. I think that's the longest live I've ever done. And I'm absolutely exhausted. I don't know how these people do 8 hours. I can't think now. I can't even form words anymore. So I am going to go and lie down in a darkened room. So I hope you enjoyed it. Just going through a whole host of things, and it gives us some things to think about. And Holly is in Sullivan County, Tennessee. That's good. Jodisue is just a bullet. She's something. She's something, all right. Anyway, I am going to go now. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day or evening. And I'll see you tomorrow, the usual place, this channel, for another video. Don't know what case I'm doing. I might do Quinton tomorrow. So I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much, everybody, for super chats, super stickers, joining the memberships. Thank you so much for Trixie Star for moderating. I am going to get some more mods on this channel. All right, over and out. See you very soon, guys. Bye-bye.